closer, but time is not in his favor. He has a challenge, a shotgun close, and Wood's gonna get it!
Do some damage. Nikolai from the backside! Finds Wisdom again! It would be a big one. He's finding the first. Can he find it? Swing again!
What? Left in a 1v3. Make that a 1v2. Make that a 1v1. Oh my goodness, Nitro sell out. And who's gonna stop him?
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first semifinal for SCS Season 6 playoffs, Stage 1, of course. I am Lynx, joined by Benny, and if you missed it yesterday or the day before, all of our quarterfinals got underway, and it has boiled down to 4 teams remaining. AQUALIX, Surf, One Shot, and, surprisingly, Aerial Rise Academy. And Benny, I don't think we expected that team specifically to make it to the playoffs.
I love the way that C-Dow's put that tweet, a little pug stack, that little pug go, was it?
That really was the best way to frame it. They really are the little pug stack that could.
It's crazy to see this team get into the semifinals, and well, they're playing later on today, but still, the fact that they've made it this far was a surprise to all of us.
Yeah, but of course, their win over Two-Faced was, well, maybe not impossible. I know we all predicted Two-Faced to win, but it was still, I believe, a reality that, hey, it could happen. We just all believed it unlikely. It was a
dominating win, too.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was the margins that the victory occurred at that I think was the most surprising to all of us. Then, of course, our second game, as we saw, was AQUALIX versus Karn & Co., and that was, as you can tell by some of these replays, that was a game that happened. That's all we'll say about that. It would certainly occur.
I love the production that came out of this game.
Yeah, there was map 1 was a blast.
Yep.
Map 2, there were a lot of interesting moments. However, as we can say later, AQUALIX were playing with a sub without their IGL Gasher, so understandable that there might have been a couple hiccups in over the course of that series. But it wasn't enough to stop them. They are here, and they will be playing in our first match versus Surf Esports. Not the only T3 team remaining, but definitely, probably, I think, maybe we could say the best T3 team remaining.
They didn't have their IGL, but it's still a 2-0 for AQUALIX. That's looking good going into the semifinals. And here we are, the bracket, though. Yeah, yes, you know, the blue side games, orange side games, and comes off with Aero Academy, One Shot, AQUALIX, and Surf, like Lynx was talking about for our 2 games today. Ooh, man.
Well, and if we want to take a look at the leaderboards for who is remaining in the playoffs, if you don't know, they're all the players who are no longer here. They are alive. They are just no longer in the playoffs. Are no longer on the leaderboards. We only focus on who are on the 4 teams still remaining. As you can see, Swaylin, out of all of the 20 players still in playoffs, is the #1, but not by a long shot. It's actually a top 3 that are ahead of the rest. Swaylin, Asian, and CZ on AQUALIX, Surf, and One Shot, respectively, top the leaderboards there. Ashen is still pretty dominant on the entry, but there are still some napping at his heels. And, of course, for the rest, AQUALIX actually holding a little bit more of a seat at the top than I actually expected. But of course, there are also 4 teams remaining, so that might be why.
I'm about to say Swalin's on every single leaderboard, though. Goddamn.
Yeah,
he had a crazy game in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, Swalin is, I think definitely after that previous game, too, there were a lot of calls I saw on Twitter like, maybe we should send the Swalin guy to the league.
Maybe he should go try it out.
I personally, thumbs up for me. Thumbs up for me. But let's get into the matches the teams that we are seeing today. One Shot will be later on in the night. It is AQUALIX versus Surf right now. So start off, AQUALIX. Yes, their game yesterday versus Karn & Co. was not great. But their IGL is now back in the lobby today. So hopefully a lot of those weird mishaps we saw on Coastline and Clubhouse will be remedied now that they actually have their IGL in the rings to fully corral everybody and not have whatever we saw yesterday at times. However, of course, the problem there is Surf could and likely will pose a challenge. They've taken down, no offense to AQUALIX, but in terms of Stage 3 CL, much better teams. They 2-0'd Wichita Wolves in the first match of the entire stage, and that was with Forrest on the roster. The core Wichita Wolves 5 were 7-2'd and 7-3'd by Surf Esports. AQUALIX have struggled with aggression in the past, and here, Surf will certainly pose probably one of the biggest challenges they've had in that department.
Wholeheartedly agree on this, and really think AQUALIX has a problem with that aggression, and that's what Surf is gonna do. Surf Esports, a team you all know and love, the AAA Asian, Ashen, and Ambi, Spiff, and Reed. But it's a playstyle. It's a playstyle that we've seen before, like we saw from the Aero Academy game. It's a playstyle that requires them to hit their shots, requires them to be on their game when it comes to those gunfights, because that's what they're doing. They're taking those gunfights early. They're getting in the face of the opponent And we saw that Coastline game against Aero Academy. That was a prime example of when teams aren't hitting their shots, or at least Surf isn't hitting their shots. Those members aren't, there to get those kills, to be those star players. That's when things go awry. But at the same point, just like Link was talking about, Aero Academy is also aggressive. That's why they were kind of able to get in the face and they could go fight fire there. But AQ in the past has struggled with that kind of aggression. They haven't been able to fight back that kind of aggression.
Yeah, definitely one big example is that FPL Queens game. 7-0'd in invite quals. Kind of problematic when you're looking at Surf, a team who in SCS are a similar playstyle. But let's look at the maps for where we are going today. And Benny, at least for me, if you're AQUALIX going up against Surf, this is a big question mark, because you know how I mentioned that Wichita Wolves 2-0, Wichita had their full 5 on the board and they got dumpstered by Surf? It was on these same 2 maps.
Yeah.
Surf 7-2'd Wichita on Coast and 7-3'd them on Cafe. And again, AQUALIX are a good team. But for a team that has struggled with aggression, and Surf just completely smoked a playoff CL team on these 2 maps, I'm a little worried. I'm going to be honest.
We kind of discussed this too before the show happened, was this Coastline pick. We know AQUALIX has played well in Coastline in a sense. They've won Coastline in the past. But do you really bring a team like Surf there? Though, we say at the same point, though, we saw that if they've done their homework, if they saw that Aero Academy game, there were points where, Surf weren't hitting their shots and they were getting confused. They were getting kind of lost in the sauce in that game. If you can exploit that same issue, though it was a bit of a weird game entirely, if you can exploit those issues, you could win that Coastline match and bring it to Oregon. Cafe, though, I don't know about that one. I'm not sure about that.
It's another issue where if we want to talk about that Wichita Wolves game, which was, at least for me, the first, I would say, true glimpse at the Surf team. I'd seen and casted them in qualifier best of ones, but this was a regular season best of 3 where I saw them. They won map number 1, and come map number 2, Ashton was like, yeah, I'm just going to start tossing C4s out of windows and going for spawn peaks and peeking pixel when there's somebody on the rappel, and he was hitting his shots that day, and it worked out. Now, of course, members of Surf aren't hitting their shots that day. Their playstyle can rely on that a little bit, so if somebody's faltering and somebody has a misstep, and AQUALIX also rise to the challenge, might not go nearly as well. But if they win map number 1 and they get to go in map number 2 with the wind in their sails, it's one of those situations where if you're fighting a Surf with that momentum and confidence behind them, I do not envy any 5-stack who has to go up against that kind of team. Now let's see if the entire production agrees, because I know for all of us, I think Surf it... Really?
Yeah, a lot of us bring the AQ, actually, surprisingly. A lot of us have faith in Gastric coming back to the roster.
Really?
His team to the victory.
That is surprising. I'm not going to lie to you. I actually thought that would have been, because I think an analogous situation is Mystic versus One Shot, right? Where super dominant, really good looking T3 team fights a T2 team, right?
Yep.
They go head to head. A lot of us predicted One Shot. Perfectly fair. They had just come off of an invite qualifiers win. They were in playoffs. They were overall as a team looking like they were out of the slump they were in for just a short amount of time. Understandable. Here, AQUALIX is not the same team with the same record. They might have come with a 2-0 into playoffs, and that is fair, but as a CL team, they've not had nearly the same record and success as One Shot. So I'm honestly very surprised that it's more AQUALIX than Surf. I thought it'd be dead even, but I guess it's close, 6-4.
Or maybe we just don't want to do the cast of curse. That
6-4.
seems to be the story of the season so
Oh,
far.
that is true. No, I'm perfectly fine that we didn't all predict Surf. I do want my elo after all, but it's still one of those things where I actually would have thought it would be a little bit more in Surf's favor. Yeah, the majority at least than AQUALIX. But hey, I like surprises. I also like being right, so this will be fun for both reasons.
We'll see if we're right or not, though. But I do agree this Cafe game is going to be interesting. It's going to, at least, hey, AQUALIX on the defense first, though. That's usually where we see teams usually do the best on Cafe. So if they can start off on a good foot, put themselves in a lead, keep it close, don't make this in a dominated side from AQUALIX, if Surf, from them winning it, and then go in a Coastline on even footing. That would probably be best, really.
Yeah, it certainly would. AQUALIX does appear. I just wanted to check the stats real quick. AQUALIX is they do heavily win on their defenses more than their attacks. Defense, they actually have a 63% win rate. Their attack isn't even positive, so unlucky there. But so if there was a time where they could run up the scoreboard, just historically speaking, their defenses do seem to be preferable. But at the same time, if there's any team that is going to slam you and try and capitalize off the mistakes on some sloppy attacks, it will be Surf. I mean, most of the time when I see Ashen or Asian just flat out challenging and say, yeah, I'm peeking you, now you have to deal with me, it's when they're on the defense. So if there's any time where Surf might be able to easily run up the scoreboard, especially if they have confidence and they're hitting their shots, it will be on their defensive side, and that would be the side on the converse that AQUALIX are weakest.
Well, hey, at least I just hope they keep it close here. Even if Surf are winning it, keep it close.
Oh, that's true.
Keep yourselves in the game, going into Coastline, because it is their map pick. And just get that mentally, just be there still when it comes to that next map, because that's going to be the big thing there. Like you talked about before, if Surf have the momentum and they've already been chalked mentally on AQUALIX's side, it's not looking good for Coastline. And if they're able to at least keep that confidence, keep that mental game, and then probably try and throw off Surf, try and make it difficult for them, throw them off their game, make it seem like they don't know what they're doing, go to map 3, hopefully, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I think one point that it was actually that Frozen brought up in the interview yesterday after Aerial Academy won was he talked about how now they'd been a team for a lot longer. They felt that their cohesion was a lot better. When AQUALIX lost that FPL Queens game, that was fairly on in the new iteration of this team after Exile and Aether had been brought on the roster. So they have had a lot more time to gel together, and maybe that problem has been worked out. And also we did see in their Carn & Code game yesterday, when they want to just go full on aggro, it can sometimes bite them, as in the case on Clubhouse, but it can still do them a hell of a lot of favors, and they can show a lot of good looks if they are going for that playstyle. So that's why I'm excited for this matchup, is that for both these teams, it definitely will be a match of fighting fire with fire and watching two massive tidal waves just clashing into each other. And that was not an intentional pun because of the name AQUALIX, so sorry about that. That was just happy
It's also
accident.
Surf though too. It's like,
I actually didn't even realize that. Wow, hold up.
I thought you were going for Surf, not AQUALIX.
No, I'm not even joking. I actually just said that. I forgot that both these teams were a water team. That was pure accident.
But you say two
Swear.
waves, but surfs the waves, so AQUALIX is just the wave itself? Are they going to surf over AQUALIX?
That's true. That's another good point. Well, but technically, if we're talking about AQUALIX and Surf are going to have Surf already won, they're the ones on top of the wave.
Oh.
The wave is trying its best to knock over the board, but the board still stands.
Oh.
I think we can call the match here after that, honestly. I don't think we need to watch them play.
We're just going to discuss there today.
I think we figured it out. We
Also,
don't
what
need
does
to even be worried.
AQUALIX mean anyway? Is that like a real mean to anything? Like a word from the language?
I don't know. I didn't make the company. I can't tell you.
It's like that and like eclectic. Like, what do they get these words from? What do they,
Eclectic is at least a word.
Is it? What does it mean?
Eclectic?
Yeah.
I actually don't know, but I know it is a word. Wait, is it a word? Yeah, it is a word. Anyway, beside the point.
You're the college kid. I don't
my
have a
vocabulary
college
is failing me. We have map number 1 at Cafe on the boards. Everyone in the lobby. Everyone's ready to get into it. Benny, my question. We're not there yet. Of course, the attack bans to start out, but is Valkyrie getting banned? Because on this map specifically, Surf, when they get to their defense, they do love their Valk.
I would ban it if I was AQUALIX, really. Just get rid of the it's gonna be Surf, because Surf's gonna be banned the defense first. So now it's on Surf. Do they think that AQUALIX with a Valkyrie is gonna prove that much of a difference come their defense half? Are they gonna have a problem with Valkyrie on their attack? It's gonna be an interesting part. Headbot ban first though, nothing too crazy. Probably Thatcher next, I'm assuming.
Yep, there it is. And I think that's a fair point. I know AQUALIX definitely likes to use that Valkyrie when it's left on the board, like most teams, but they have a similar playstyle to Surf when it comes to that Valk. Throwing cams outside, trying their best to get early kills based on that intel. If outside the building at not much risk to the defender is even better. Surf will ban out the Mirror first, another common ban for Cafe, another common ban for them. And will AQUALIX call Surf's bluff? Will they ban the Valkyrie, or will they ban something else? Maybe like the Wamai or a shield operator, we'll have to see. We'll ban the Valk. I think it's a good move. Obviously, it's a very common ban, and one they might have done anyway, no matter the opponent, but specifically against Surf, definitely a tool you don't want in their arsenal once they get to the defense.
Yeah, I guess in the end, you're going to be on the attacking side no matter what. You don't want to augment that aggression even more when it comes to having those cams and information. But here we go. Bar and Cocktail to start us off for AQUALIX. They need to start this off on a good note and just make sure they can drive up the score, keep them on a good note when it comes to that attacking side, because like you said before, their attacking win rate is not great. So they need to at least keep it close come the defense.
No, it is not great. We actually, though again, their IGL was not there. We saw some of their problems on attack on Clubhouse yesterday, but hopefully now that Gasher is in the lobby, we will not see those same mistakes happen on either Cafe or Coastline. As you said as well, Bar and Cocktail. First sight up. AQUALIX with a castle on the board. Noah Rooney, though. They could go for that Humidor play if they want to. Sit somebody with a shotgun inside of, well, the Humidor, as I said. Very odd word that is, by the way.
I literally don't know what it means. I keep hearing it. I don't understand what Humidor is supposed to mean there.
I'm pretty sure Humidor is like... It's like a box of cigars.
Ah. Did not know that.
I've heard I want to be honest, I just heard Intero use that call, and I actually really liked it just because I thought the word was funny.
Because
So I started using it.
if Huma means like a cigar, then that's interesting that you just say cigar door, humidor. That is interesting. I guess Huma comes off easy.
No, humidor is a word.
So humidor. Oh,
It's
humidor.
Humidor. Yeah, it's a word.
Oh,
it means
it's a
like a
full
case of
word.
cigars.
Oh.
Also, interesting thing to note, they are going, so they are casting the double door with no Rooney on the board. It does mean, while there is also there is a castle barricade on one of the windows as well, it will be a bit easier to clear than normal.
Yeah, well, there should be no problem to deal with the person's cigar. The my disc will probably try to deal with that in place of the Rooney. Though I will say, again, this is going to prove to see if Surf are even going for that. Well, with the lineup they have, I'm assuming they are. They get in those windows. And will somebody be maybe trying to run out of white to try and stop the stage control? Or is Afer going to be the person? What the heck?
What?
They get a full... Oh, he fat fingered. Okay.
Nice.
That was so good.
This match is already starting out great, boys.
That was like when Vena yesterday, he said that he...
The only hard breach on the board, just fat-fingered repelled into Christmas, and we just reached a minute into the round. This can only go up from here.
That was like when Vena yesterday jumped in the white.
That's true. CZ's still alive behind the pixel shield, but some flashbangs go in, burn all the magnets, so he will be pushed backwards into bathroom. Could still get aggressive. This is CZ we are talking about after all, and Asian has used all of his nades. I believe the second one just blew up that deployable shield, so not only can he now slowly start pushing in a cigar, they can even make some headway down below. Gasher was sitting downstairs inside a dining for a good portion of the round, I believe, since the beginning, and now the C4 off the board, Ashen solo clear, evens up the man count.
Well, they've now in Cigar, they pushed off that player. Someone's still playing in Cigar, actually, from AQUALIX? Yes, no, he's pushed out at this point. I'm assuming he would be. He probably jumped down. I'm assuming it was Gasher who was that person maybe in there and jumped down the dining, maybe. But at this point, they have control of Cigar. It's got to push back. They've dealt with the shield and pixel. They just got to make sure they can deal with the player inside the bathroom, which is CZ, as do I. And nope, actually it's Exile elsewhere using the Alda. He just takes some song shots in the Cigar and takes out Asian. Ashen, though, would refrag on Exile. Hat's going to try and push up because this is where they're going to try to stop that tidal wave that is Surf.
Well, CZ also tries his best to stop the tide, but Ashen cuts him down. 3 kills for him in the round, but Hat stops his reign of terror. He was getting aggressive earlier, and it cost him a lot of HP, but now that he's been able to do a bit more with his life, stop Ashen moving in through white. Not only does that, he does one more spiff on the entry, moving into the site in the 2v2. He falls soon after. Now Ambi, the flank watch, the only one left, knows that Hat is inside a freezer, and he'll use the coverage of the smoke to creep into the site, but there's one player sitting around the bar. He has no idea his position. Almost turns on Afer, but AQUALIX still gets the round. Off the back of a little bit shaky in the middle game, they still come through in the end.
Yeah, it's a bit shaky, but again, it's good thing on AQUALIX side, just making sure you can refrag, get picks, or even get picks and not get refragged. I think those two starting out, re-jumping in, unfortunately, was not a great start for Surf. Just jumps through that stage window by accident, meaning just to open up the stage window. He gets picked off. They push forward for Cigar. They get that other pick onto Gasher, which is big. He was downstairs to C4. That could have been a huge blow to not deal with that person with the C4, like we saw from Spiker in the game at Air Academy. So they deal with him below. 4v4. They're making that eventual push towards Piano, creating an execute towards sites. But again and again, it's AQUALIX taking fights. Exile there. Takes a fight. He wins it. Does get refrag. But still, it's keeping it even. And then the players start taking fights, start winning them, and not able to get refragged is a big thing there. So just because Hat getting 2 picks, not getting able to get refragged, but either member from Surf, just leading to a 1v2 at that point. Difficult to do there. But still, good job to AQUALIX. We go on to Kitchen.
And now with no windows, really, to move in through for Kitchen, at least to repel in, Reed's life will surely be a lot safer this go-around as opposed to Cocktail. It is important he does stay alive, though. I'm assuming once AQUALIX, they will open that freezer hatch. They might reinforce it, but based on the lineup they're going for, I imagine they'll have it open and allow for maybe a rotation back for CZ if he ends up being the one that moves off the site. You do still need those summon charges to, say, maybe open up the freezer wall or the bakery wall for what you go for. So, if anything, that hard breaching utility is a lot more important on this site than it was before. So, you might not have the same opportunity to fat finger into a window, but you should still try to be a bit safe with your life.
Yeah, especially because they're reinforcing it. Oh Gasher
wow.
going for an early pick against the teams that usually go for that kind of thing. So, like you said, fight, fire, fire, I guess. But I'm not sure if that was the quite the quite the experience there. So down goes Gasher. There goes one of the roamers on the side of AQUALIX. Now we'll see if the rest of the roamers will back off now, or they're going to still try and roam on that second or third floor.
Afer currently placing a mute jammer inside of reading. Might not have been spotted by Ashen. He might have just been firing a couple shots through that barricade just as a precautionary measure, opening it up, getting a hole, what have you. They do definitely know of CZ's position now inside a Cigar. Exile using an Echo drone to provide a bit more intel for CZ, have something a bit more active. Both drones spot each other in turn, so Exile will decide, hey, time to pull back, at least for my drone. Will CZ make the same decision as Exile did for his utility? That is the question, because minute in, and now 3 attackers make that 4.
Oh, he's got a drone.
Drop
Oh, no,
down
they
red.
shot it, though.
Oh, look
so
at
looks like
this
he's trying to play off
C4.
the sound and go for the C4. Does go off. Great
Beautiful.
C4 in Asian. Ooh. Well, first pick with that C4, or return pick at least, to kill Asian as a refrag. And now, with that pick now, is it time to back off now at this point, or have they wasted enough time? Gasher, well, not Gasher, that's Afer, still below, peeks through, just walks into Ashen's reticle there. Unfortunate for him, and CZ looking to maybe get a refrag to keep it even going into the execute.
Well, he doesn't. Ashen slaps him down, back down the stairs. Hat and Exile, the only 2 left on the site. Thankfully for Hat, he's got a C4, and thankfully for Exile, he has some Yokai drones. So some fairly solid utility to allow maybe a comeback, maybe a 2v4 with 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining. The problem is, of course, now that your roam presence was shut down so early, Surf can basically get all they want for free, and if you really want to try to bring it back, you have to do what Hat is doing. Take some gunfights through the floor if you really want to make a play, because that's your only option. He's playing it very safe right now, and I admire that. He's not trying to throw away his life too carelessly. Ashen on low HP could be a good target for either the Cade or the Echo, should they try to get aggressive on that top floor. The hatch was soft, so it's pretty easily opened up by the sledge. Now Reed is looking to drop down that hatch. Great position for Kid Hat right now with the C4 inside a bunker. He can lob that down into Freezer, but a nade you can hear is cooked, sent down into that exact position. But he jumps up, not in range of it, but now with the flashbangs going down, it's all up to Exile for the coverage. He gets 1, but it's Hat the next to fall. Exile tags Ambi down to 1 HP, but he's got to switch weapons now that he's expended all the ammo in that MP5 SD. He doesn't catch Ambi, walking directly into the site. 1 round for Surf, now even.
Yeah, that was quite a round where just really kind of dictated by the roam there, not being able to get. They forgot that they got to pick. First it was Gasher, who just kind of peeks out that dining window, gets picked off by Asian, a little return by CZ with that C4, but from there they lose Afer. Afer walks into reading right into Ashen's reticle. He dies immediately. CZ trying to refrag off of that, but in the end, because of that first pick in the beginning, they were just trying to make up for manpower, trying to even it up, or even get an advantage, and the whole entire time they're just losing fights, pushing it further and further down to just a 2v4 with Exile and Hat trying to just bring it back. And really, with the amount of vertical push, with the amount of time that they had, it's a very difficult thing to do unless you are able to just capitalize off a mistake that Surf did. And really, they made no mistake. They took it slow. They opened the floor up. They made sure where exactly the player on site, which was Hat, was at. Make sure to try to grenade him, flash him out, push on the site. Exile tries to get 1, but in the end, he's in a 1v3 after Hat dies.
They'll try to run that site back with, I don't believe, any changes in their lineup. Gasher, I believe, will not go for that spawn peek a second time in a row. Could have worked, honestly. He actually saw Asian before the Finka started shooting. It was just some missed shots and a lot of time for Asian to react. But just as a cautionary measure, he probably will say, I'll just chill inside, not stick my head in the window, and work with Afer and CZ on the roam to see if we can make things work. They had some good C4 play last time that might very well make Surf a lot more cautious to enter that red hatch and waste more time by extension, and also allow the defense to position themselves a lot better on that second floor instead of just walking into Ashen's crosshairs.
Yes, it's Ashen just denying the roam entirely with just walk in, just kill them all. That's all you gotta do. Well, this time though, he's saying CZ playing that angle. Last time, got a C4 off with that, just placing it on that red wall into piano. I'm assuming this time Surf will be more aware of that and won't fall for it. But there is a mute chamber this time, and there has been set up for playing that humidor, like we were talking about with the shotgun. But it looks like CZ playing that with the commando instead. Gasher making sure they can't get drone, at least destroying drones that drop by, seeing if someone peeks that skylight, and good pings, using that yokai to good use to see where these members of Surf are at. Just waiting for to use that yokai in junction with that C4 if they drop into red. Gasher expecting a drop through skylight. I wonder if there's a third person. No, so yeah, like Afer is downstairs and reading once again.
Ooh. See him fire a couple shotgun shots through the barricade, and they both land in Ashen's chest. Finka Blast, well-timed, puts him up a little bit higher. Same with Spiff, who suffered some damage, but because of the Finka Blast and because of the engagement he just had with CZ, will not be too worse for wear after that. And the opening pick goes their way, but oh no. Right as the Malusi enters his crosshairs, Spiff is caught with a nade in his hand. Gasher is able to flip the tables, flip the odds against the sledge. It even things up 4-4, but once again, there is a member for Surf watching and cutting off the rotation for AQUALIX. Afer now down, and it's Gasher, the first to die on the roam, now the last alive. The only one with the kill 2 for AQUALIX so far. He'll fire some parting shots and hop back down the hatch, and it's a 3v4 now. All defenders back on the site.
Well, once again, we're in a position where they're down a man, and there's still quite a bit of time for Surf to create this execute. And then it's going to, open the floor up, drone things out, see where these players are at, and go for that plant. Yokai is maybe in a good position to try and stop this, give them a bit more time when it comes to aggressing and stopping this. But this vertical control is going to be important, because if they can use the vertical control, stop the rotates from AQUALIX, this could be it for them in this round. Let's see if maybe Gasher or a member of AQUALIX has a chance to maybe aggress and stop that vertical control. Gasher maybe in a chance, but again, the Nomad's still on the board, so I'm assuming these air devs should be in a place to stop that aggression in the first place. Asian's already down the stairs, watching for that aggression, already deals with Gasher, 2 kills for Asian for the round. And now the last 2 players, again, it's Hat Exile in a 2v4.
Funny how that works out, huh? Concussion goes down, and it does stun Kid Hat, and again, in the 2v4, Exile is the first one to get to kill. He was not, well, I was about to say Hat was not long for this world after, and we are in the exact same situation as we were last time. Just a couple different players for Surf, but the exact same number. This time, Reed has moved down into the site, and he's looking to get that bomb on the floor. Does Exile have any Yokais? He's currently using his MP5. No, he'll switch. Can he get Reed at the right time? No, he switches off! I don't know if he had one in position. We saw the feed for just a second, but he still commits to the gunfight, and there's too many bodies for Surf for him to get even close to Reed.
Yeah, maybe he was told at that point it was too late. Maybe someone's watching the cam.
It was pretty close. Reed had like less than a second left at that point, so it would have been tight.
It might have been a call from someone on the team that was watching the cam saying that it was too late to use the Yokai at that point. So unfortunate, but yeah, that was, again, that issue comes into play is, again, that roam game from AQUALIX. Just not having a great roam. Not only were you not wasting time, but you're losing members on it and getting into the execute. It was a 3v4, but Gasher getting aggressive because at that point you need to do something, because with all that vertical control, getting back into sight, it's going to be very bloody. Probably not going to happen. So at that point, you have to get aggressive, trying to take fights, but Asian read it perfectly. Dealt with that, puts in a 2v4 once again. Eggs gets a kill, and same thing, Deja Vu. Hat's dead within the seconds after that.
It is kind of weird how that worked out both times, but we also had a game that was almost a mirror image of itself yesterday, too, so just something Benny and I are hopeless in escaping, I suppose.
Deja Vu?
Deja Vu. Like the Matrix all over again. AQ go back up to Cocktail. They won it the first time. It's the only defense that has been successful for them so far. It came down very close and was started by Reed effectively killing himself, but by sheer accident. We'll see how things go differently. There might not be much hard breaching that Surf needs to do, in all honesty. Maybe open up that bathroom wall and that freezer wall, but beyond that, won't Reed even use just maybe 1 or 2 Selma charges. He can be an entry like all the rest if he wants to.
He's got the AK-12. Just make holes and make sure they can't, drive out these defenders from their places like bathroom and freezer. Push them back into Cocktail, and even then, if they're able to do that and just take fights from there, I think Surf could win this. But again, we'll see what happens and how AQ does differently, because last time it still was close. Reed had unfortunately caused his death jumping through the window on the stage, but even with that, it was still a 2v2 at the end, which changed into a it was Hat trying to get those kills to bring them back. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens differently for AQUALIX or Surf this time, as again, same positions, having someone play Humidor, having Afer here by the stage to make sure they can try and deny that stage pressure from Asian to push out the player Cigar, but they're gonna drone out first and see who's around. And that's unfortunate.
Unlucky, but it happens. Better than Reed dying, so I'm pretty sure out of all the things that have happened on Cocktail so far, that one in the acceptable margins. Do need to be careful of that white stairs door, as always. Somebody from AQUALIX might get aggressive, and knowing AQUALIX, they probably will get aggressive on that door, but it's the Asian watching it, so not too worried.
There's 2 people.
Ooh, yeah, there's 2 people. Could be a jump out from Afer in tandem. He breaks it open, possibly trying to just distract one of the attackers' attention, but no, the player on bottom white was spotted even before the Afer broke that window, so instead they'll just run off.
Yeah, nothing come of it. White's window is going to be big, though. Afer might get shot in the back right now. Oh, he's going to at least shoot the ADS, but he's going to die probably. Yep, that was correct. He's just kind of sitting there staring at the ADS.
Okay.
Well, down goes one player. There goes Ashen, the member who's doing pretty well so far in this game. And so far, Surf a lot slower in this round compared to the previous. They haven't even gotten Cigar or cleared Pixel. I don't know what the scare is for the moment. They were taking time to push that player out of Cigar, but finally he's pushed out. They have to go towards that Pixel sooner or later because we're down to the last minute.
Yeah, but now the problem is they lost that Zofia, who is the prime candidate to clear out that Pixel shield. They still have utility, though Spiff has used both of his nades. Asian still has 2 of his, so they can certainly use one. But with a minute left and CZ's still sitting relatively worry-free behind Pixel right now, I mean, it's hard to see a world where this round doesn't go AQUALIX's favor unless Surf just takes every gunfight at once and wins the majority of them. It's very difficult to overcome this hill. See, Asian moving over. Maybe that was Reed. No, not sure who that was. But either way,
CZ.
Yeah, he just takes down CZ behind the Pixel shield. So that's one way to clear out that position. But there is still the rest of the site players who, again, like CZ, for the majority of the round, have been relatively worry-free. Exile does catch Asian on the rappel into the window. Hat still inside of Freezer is just as impactful as he was in the prior round on Cocktail. And what do you know? Deja vu once again. Ambi, the only one left, in worse odds than before, means that AQUALIX are still winning this round and evening up the score once again.
Yeah, that was a round. Really just, it was similar to before, but still they came to very similar mistakes. Again, a death that was kind of odd from the side of Surf. Ashen is kind of on the way to his window, not upside and rappel, not in a way you can hide your body, just in full view of the window, just sitting on the rappel. He gets taken down by Afer, just kind of sitting there. And from there, there was no other, we hadn't seen Surf do much in the round. They took a minute, well, probably like a minute and a half, a minute and 45 to actually finally clear Cigar, get into Piano, and take control of Pixel, which they killed CZ in that regard. But by the time they have to make that push, it's just at that point you have to walk through and take fights with these defenders who are playing their advantageous positions. They didn't really open up Freezer. Kid Hat can sit inside a Freezer because the wall's still reinforced. The other play was having, I believe, Asian go through that that cocktail balcony window, that heaven window, but Exile was ready for it. Maybe if that killed Exile before when Reed was going through and he saw that angle to kill Exile, maybe it'd be a different round if Asian could have made his way through there.
So far, 2 sites have been tried by AQUALIX. One, firmly their domain. The other, firmly Surf's domain. Both round wins for both teams have come on the exact same site. Here, finally going to new territory on round number 5, AQUALIX will try reading. We'll see an Aruni and a Thunderbird come out for the first time. I believe a Goyo as well, so a lot of new players in this round and setup in particular, with the Aruni gate on the double door and a shield placed in Pixel, looking to be extending a bit farther out on that top floor than teams might do sometimes. Normally we'll see them relegated that Cocktail side, but AQUALIX will try to spread their tendrils and their grasp a little bit further. And maybe that might trip up Surf, who have struggled with that setup in, well, every Cocktail round we've seen so far.
Well, maybe. Yeah, it's literally the same exact setup, so it's this could be a problem. You see a Surf clear this out faster than before, but again, nobody's gonna be really, it seems like nobody's really playing that Freezer position as heavily, so it shouldn't be a problem. Kid Hat with SMG-11 stopping them entirely.
Also, no Jaegers or no ADSs or Ramais, so no projectile burn.
They should have no problem. The only thing is just the laser gates. So they should have no problem, destroying the shield inside of Pixel, which it is a Vulcan shield though, so I'm assuming it's going to get destroyed. Afer playing right below Skeleton, drop back down as he sees the drone spots him. But so far, yeah, we should see Surf jump down that red hatch, but someone's on the window as well. So it looks like they're trying to create this pinch, create this pressure on both sides to pressure these players back towards site or kill them on the rotate, depending on how it happens. Sees he gets flashed out, and he sees that he's being pressured on Pixel, he's going to back off knowing that shit's going to explode.
And Gasher was just kind of running around inside the site, though he's pushed a bit further up and CZ's pulled a bit further back, so now they are playing together as opposed to before. Ashen finally breaks the window, directly above. I believe that's Afer right next to that window, waiting for the Zofia to peek. Sends out a C4, and fortunately, Ashen reacts too quickly. Pulls down the rope and moves all the way down to the bottom floor. Half the round wasted by AQUALIX on this defense so far, and Surf struggling to find avenues forward.
You only need to waste a little more, though, because you can't give him too much time. I feel like even if you get to that minute mark, you can't give him that much time to go to work on that floor and create that execute. But it's going to be difficult. You see the Surf members are starting to encroach on the territory of AQUALIX, and they're just trying to stay strong. They're staying up here. CZ jumps down. One jumps on the laundry hatch, and that's it. Now, a minute left. They've all just left the site. Left upstairs. Not the site, but left upstairs. But is that enough time for Surf to still create this execute?
I mean, 5v5, they still have a C4, one pre-placed as well, so one could still detonate somewhere underneath, and in fact, it will, but it does not find anybody on Surf. Maybe a little bit of damage to Reed. Gasharoo gets a quick engagement with Ambi, both likely scared after that scuffle on red stairs. Ambi's just made his way directly into the site. Hopefully Gasher has called this to his team, or that Ambi was over in that area, but you might not expect that. 2 kills now have gone Surf's way. Both Asian and Spiff getting on the scoreboard. Afer hears the Nomad creeping around inside a train. Gasher, while he retakes upstairs, sees he's also entered the combat for the round so far, but his engagements and his participation is short-lived. Afer finally having an impact. He kills Ambi and train, but with Reed getting the bomb down, Afer is spotted. I thought he'd fall off and might make something happen, but it's all up to Gasher. He retook that top floor, but there's not much use for it now. He's got to try to deny the plant. Nobody going for it. If he can kill Asian on the coverage, Reed is stuck on the floor, but he's got to play the time right. He sees the Vinka peek. He lets the bomb go down. Now it's a 1v2 he has to fight, and the cover is what does him in the end. Surf take the lead and guarantee themselves an even half.
Great round there from Surf, and well, it was a start that was great for AQUALIX though. Again, they were wasting time. There wasn't a lot of push from Surf, and they were just, taking fights, taking shots here and there, playing their positions but they left it up until a minute. They all, abandoned that top floor roam with a minute left in the round. And I have this before. We've seen this in CL when IF are a team that's very slow as well in their attacks. And even with a minute, I think before we've seen them with like 25 seconds in the round on that same execute in the cafe, and they've gotten it done. In my opinion, I felt like 1 minute was still too much to allow for Surf to create the execute. We saw there's 2 kills from the sledge from above, using that sledgehammer, dealing with the players on site, creating an execute, pushing the players out of reading or killing them outright. And then at that point, it's up to members of AQUALIX to get aggressive and stop that control. And unfortunately, that's a difficult thing to do.
We'll try reading a second time, as it was going fairly well for them over the course of that round. I like the adjustment they made. Gasher instead moving from the Aruni to the Pulse. With how long Surf took to move across that top floor last time, if Surf do not speed it up, of course assuming that, we saw them slowly creep across that long bar as they weren't fully aware, okay, had AQUALIX rotated back? Have they not? They were making sure they can use that pulse and that heartbeat scanner inside the site down below to catch a couple more C4s and make them a little bit more precise once Surf makes their way across that bar. And even if they don't go as slow and AQUALIX have to fight on that top floor, you can still use the pulse in the exact same way. It's why he's a common operator on the site, and it's why I like that AQUALIX in the final round are bringing him out.
Yeah, I would say if they had C4 the sledge last round, if they had that ability to do that, maybe it'd be a different round. Not able to get to open those vertical holes like you need to precisely with that sledgehammer. Could have been a very different round though. But let's see if Surf, if they're gonna play it as slow, if they're gonna slowly encroach in territory like we saw before. We'll see what happens this time around, as again, of course, they're just droning things out, figuring what's going on, going to that roof, and of course gonna open up those hatches. And like last time too, Ashton was on the windows just trying to pressure the players. He didn't get kills last time on the windows, unfortunately, but he was looking for something. And a C4 early outside. Reed was still in the rappel.
So
takes a lot of damage, but he's not dead, so that's already 1 C4 used. Nothing to come of it.
Yeah, but you still have 3 more total for AQUALIX, so you can afford to get aggressive a little bit, send one up the hatch if you want. But now with these ones, you got to be a little bit more careful. Use the one in the first 45. Don't want to start just throwing them away like they don't mean anything. Surf have taken, again, the first minute to wait to enter the building. Ash in the tip of the spear, he has dropped that red hatch, and some teammates will join him soon after as some flashbangs, some explosives all land on that cocktail side, a shield destroyed. So, utility, some has been damaged, some has been taken down. Afer knows there's one on that skylight trying to get aggressive. Ooh, it's a difficult angle to challenge. A nice shot if it lands, but Asian, unfortunately, quicker on the trigger. And here we go, once again. Another Surf player just sitting inside a dining, but this time, as opposed to Ambi, his efforts are much more successful. Asian, too, on that top floor. Both Asian and Ashen having success on 2 different floors of this map. Have left Exile and Gasher, the only 2 left. That Pulse was very important when the other C4s were alive. He still has one. With the Maestro evilized as well, still some potential for intel, but it's a lot more difficult. Now that there's only 1 left, Gasher used the X Factor, the ace up his sleeve, but he cannot deal with the sheer tidal wave colliding around him. All the bodies front and back. Surf get themselves a 4-2 half on attack.
Yeah, that was that's literally an expedited round from the side of Surf, though. They had taken quite a bit of time last time to push their way into bar on that top floor. This time they're a bit quicker. You saw Asian pushing up. You saw Ashton going to train a lot quicker this time. But at the same point, there's also members of AQUALIX who are getting more aggressive that round. C4 is being thrown out. Members taking fights early, maybe to try and impede them or at least make sure they can get a kill before backing off. And in turn, Surf winning those fights, making sure that that aggression was punished every single time, leaving it to really just a 2v4 on site. And it's just those last two players are getting, they're getting surrounded at that point by Surf, and there's not much you can do there. We go on, and in 4-2 half for them, I don't see this going very well for the rest of AQUALIX's half.
Nope, 4-2 on Cafe Attack is something that Surf will be very happy by. Going to Kitchen as well, starting out, this is a good time for them to set the pace and say, all right, AQUALIX, your attacks have been the best historically. Can you fix your mistakes here? We'll see if that's the case. Surf taking a little bit of a different strategy. Of course, AQUALIX did get aggressive on their kitchen defense. They would send players to that top floor, but Surf are going and leaning very heavily into denying as much intel for AQUALIX as they can. Mute Jammers, Mozzie Pass, and ERC for Asian, which can make him extremely dangerous on this roam, will make a full clear for AQUALIX very problematic. But on the flip side, they only have one hard breacher, but they have the Flores in tandem, so a lot of utility combined with some nades and a Gone 6 to clear out that site utility, and if they want to go for a direct, it might work out if they want to bypass all that utility.
There's not a whole lot of utility besides those of my disc, really, and just the smoke canisters, so...
Indeed.
It could be, it's interesting that there's a whole lot of aggression in that roam style play from Surf, and AQUALIX are bringing that utility focused denial where there isn't a whole lot of utility to deny besides, those mute jammers, the Mozzie Pass, which you really can't do with the set you have. C4 out and, well, shot. Great shot
nice.
by, I believe, was that Hat or who was that? But great shot either way. Down goes that one of those C4s, but they now know there's a lot of aggression coming from Surf. They got to go toe-to-toe with these players who are going to be staying for their lives on this top floor.
Asian sitting inside a long bar. Drone just drove through that area, but with his ERC activated, they'll know he's somewhere. They won't know he is there. Ashen also on that top floor. Here's the red window open, and he will retreat, not wanting to try and take a long-range engagement with a shotgun in hand. So far, none of the roamers have really gotten too aggressive against AQUALIX right now. Asian is doing enough, just causing them and hurting their intel game and causing them to be concerned and slow down their take of that top floor. Now moving down to the second floor, it's another situation for AQUALIX. They have to find this intel, they have to find these players, and Surf could easily waste time just by doing what they've been doing.
Looks like maybe Surf at this point have dropped down. All 5 players are back on that bottom floor. They're going to take their positions around the site, knowing that's going to be an eventual transition from the side of AQUALIX. Well, I would say they didn't damage their intel as much as you thought they would. They still have 8 drones available on the side of AQUALIX. So, again, the big thing is just going to be time here. Can they still create this vertical pressure, create this execute with a time left on the board? Vertical holes already made by the team, by the defensive team, of course. And now the question is going to be, well, CZ with the first pick on to Ashton. Ashton looked like maybe he was playing either by VIP, maybe playing that position for the freeze or execute, if it's going to be what AQUALIX does. But so far, the question is, what is AQUALIX going to do?
All right, now the nice thing that Surf have going for them is they're still holding VIP. Ambi was inside of Bakery as well. So for AQUALIX, they obviously want to move down to that bottom floor, but there are quite a bit of players stationed in areas that will be problematic for AQUALIX depending on what take they want to do. Right now, it appears to be Freezer and both Asian and I believe that might have been Spiff holding that area are the 2 players that will provide the most problems. CZ can hold Ambi's flank or hold his cross inside of Small Bake or outside of Small Bake on bottom red. So the Mozzie is somewhat isolated, making it mainly up to Asian, Reed, and Spiff to hold the site, and while Ambi and CZ just have to wait to see who decides to peek first. CZ goes for the gunfight, but sprints back up red stairs. AQUALIX with 10 seconds remaining finally decide to dash down, but they dash directly into the defense's crosshairs, both outside the site and in. Hat finally gets a kill with 5 seconds remaining, with no time to get the bomb on the floor, no time remaining to live. Surf take the first round on the defense.
That was just, wow, that was a round where it was a decent start for AQUALIX. They had no real loss of intel when it comes to drones. They didn't have anybody killed. Nothing crazy happened. Sure, Surf wasted probably about a minute 45, half the round gone by, but usually happens when it comes to the roam clears. Nobody from Surf was playing too aggressive where they were trying to take fights. They were just playing for that time. And so that comes to the point where you have to transition to that first floor. And unfortunately, it seems to where AQUALIX, I'm not sure if I call it stalling or what, but it seems like they were not sure what entirely to do. They wanted to see if they can deal with those players on that first floor, but they weren't able to really create an execute. Nobody else really went for a different angle besides CZ, who went to red stairs. Mostly able was by white stairs or by the hatch, and they were kind of waiting for Surf at that point to make a mistake, make a move that they could capitalize on, but never really came.
Here, thankfully, there's not as much to clear. They don't have to go for a full clear of the map like they had to do on Kitchen, on Cocktail. They just need to clear out that pixel position, and they can easily get a foothold into the map. Of course, after that, get complicated, but it's not nearly as complex. You won't have to deal with nearly as many, say, uncertainties as they had to on the previous round. See, Gasher moved to the Twitch. Can find quite a bit of intel on the site. Say, drive it into Cigar with no Mute or Mozzie on the board. You can take down those ADSs or Magnets if you're quick enough and the player behind the Pixel Shield can't react. Also, depending on where you get it, if there's an Electroclaw, you can zap that. A Maestro Evil Eye, too. If you can get 2 lasers, you can take down a very powerful piece of intel likely placed on the site that Asian can put up around Cocktail. So Twitch could have a lot of impact here. Plus those smoke grenades. Plenty of chances for some good work with that F2.
Yeah, I think getting rid of those electric clouds is probably the most important part if they want to try and open up these walls and push their way through. This was a site that we saw from AQUALIX. They won both times because, again, I felt like especially well, too, leaving those walls all closed just leaves a lot to be dealt with. A lot of those players instead of Freezer can really put a detriment to making the execute happen. But Gasher so far, using F2 in hand, I'm not sure how much he's just playing the operator for the drones or for the F2 is the question right there. But so far, it looks like they are pointing towards that piano side, especially with the opera lineup. That really looks like go for Cocktail because no Bucks in play usually. But we'll see if they can deal with this Pixel play, because otherwise, besides Pixel, there's not much difference here when it comes to that play from Surf. So I'm assuming it's come down to just gunfights and how well AQUALIX can clear this utility.
Spiff placing some ADSs very late into the round. While here we go, Ashen gets aggressive inside of Pixel. He'll rotate out. Well, maybe try to cover Spiff, but not really. Probably just to try and see if he can get a cheeky kill. It does not happen. Meanwhile, Afer just walks right onto New Balcony and gets a pretty easy Gone 6 onto an Evil Eye on that Cocktail balcony. So one bit of intel destroyed, another bit of intel destroyed as Ashen snipes a drone, but as he's layering everything on this Pixel Shield, the attack is clearing it out as quickly as he can place it. He instead moves in a bathroom to try to see somebody on the window. That's exactly what happens. Catches CZ right in the dead center of the stage window, and the opening pick goes for Surf.
Oh, at least Afer's able to fight back. Take Asian in the far back. There was your Maestro. He still can move those cams to spot these players if they are still alive. But still 1 for 1 though, keeping it close though. Afer is low in HP, and it looks like they've at least pushed back Ashen towards the bathroom. But they still haven't taken full control of Piano. And I don't know if they've dealt with the electric claw either. So the question is, actually, no, they ever take control of Piano even? Is Afer in there by himself? What?
Yes.
Are you?
He is.
Are you?
There he goes. And, oh no, Ashen actually does not win that fight. He hops out the window to try to escape as, well, there is nobody who can take him down as they're all inside the building. Reed getting aggressive, unfortunately, loses his fight with Hat, and he decides to take the initiative and move on into the site, but it's an ill-thought idea. Spiff picks up the final 2 frags. Match point for Surf, 6-2 on their map pick.
That was a really weird round.
Yeah, so I saw Afer move on to New Balc early. I was like, okay, I appreciate it. Nobody's directly inside of there. You can probably hide around the corner, but nobody joined him.
Yeah. We start that first. Well, CZ dying as well. First, CZ's grenade doesn't destroy the shield. It looks like it was early, I guess, and then he kind of just on the rappel. Nobody had cleared bathroom, so Ashton, of course, will take full capitalization of that and kill him. And then from there, yeah, like you were saying, Afer's the only one inside of Cigar. Nobody's with him. Nobody's watching his back with a drone or anything. He just kind of walks into Cigar by himself, and Ashen's still at large. And knowing Surf, they're going to get aggressive whenever they can. He didn't see any drones. He didn't see anybody spotting him, so he just walks through Piano, walks into the doorway of Cigar, sees Afer just sitting on his drone or on his cams in the Cigar bar. Like, what?
Yeah, unfortunate for Afer. While Hat was close by, it was still rough timing, especially once CZ was knocked off the rappel. Potentially the final sight of the map is Surf 2 defensive wins in a row out of the 2 attempts. Go down to their 3rd site reading, and if they get a flawless rotation, it's a 7-2 victory for them, and they get to go on to Coastline, heavily the victors and the favorites in this series. AQUALIX are running fairly similar lineup to what they had before. Still have Hat on the hard breach, moved Gasher back to the Flores. No Afer on the 0 this time. Instead, he has gone back to the Zofia. One thing they can be thankful for, though, not many C4s for Surf. The utility will be heavily focused on holding this top floor and trying to, well, once they take gunfights, try to make them a bit later in the round as AQUALIX are forced to cut through all the shields and Aruni gates they've placed in their path.
Yep, this is, yeah, I would say, like, isn't too crazy from Surf-wise strategically, just winning those gunfights, getting those C4 kills. It's been Surf just dominating the kill feed more than anything when it comes to these rounds, and so we'll see if they can do it once again. Looks like there's another C4 maybe in place by somebody, or look at he's waiting for a kill as the, actually he's canceled. He's on the C4 anyway, with Spiff looking maybe to shoot someone, jumps through, Ashen jumping out the roof window. And somebody looks like they maybe was chasing him. CZ already jumped through that small big window, but nobody's gonna capitalize. Ashen's gonna make their way back to sites. Then nobody cuts him off.
Nope. They're a risky play by Ashen, but he makes it work. By makes it work, I mean he doesn't die. That's a win in my book.
Oh.
AQUALIX aren't going for a true full clear right now. They have a couple players on that top floor, but both Afer and CZ right now are contemplating an entrance into Train. They've opened that castle barricade. Afer slowly moving in. We saw Ashen have great success with this play last time, though. It was a bit more silent from him, whereas Afer has already announced his presence quite loudly with some shots fired through the dining wall. A little bit different situation, but still opening up their options for later on in the round. Minute 15 seconds in, and now we're seeing Asian start to suffer their first bit of pressure.
It looks like he's getting pressured by a couple, well, maybe some drones, just some pressure there. But yeah, like you're saying, maybe they're not going for the room clear. We already see members, you know, setting up towards this train side, though there is already, they have this wall, that train wall open with an Aruni gate as well. So they're expecting that play. How you see right here, and there's a shield on the table as well. So there's already a position to play off. He's going to be the person, and there's this one, sorry, wasn't watching. Ashen's watching in the back of the smoke of Reed, making sure nobody gets a, you know, a sneaky walk up white stairs. Smokes come out to deny that push in through the 9U hallway. At this point, AQUALIX kind of at a bearing here. There's nothing really they can do at this point, just waiting for that to go off.
Hat will now open the reading wall as I guess they're now instead moving to a reading take. CZ gets a nice nade onto Ambi, so opening pick comes with a minute remaining, but it still transitions very beautifully into a 5v3. Make that a 5v2. Ashen and Reed, the only ones left. Ashen seemingly alone inside of the reading bomb site right now. That wall opened up. There are two players, both on the left and right side of that breach, that he is waiting to make an entrance in. Now they're at the doorway as well. Gets the first onto Hat, but cannot make another shot land onto CZ. And as Reed moves down, Gasher cuts off his transition back down to that second floor bomb site. AQUALIX get their first round in quite a while, but Surf are still very much in the lead.
That was a surprising round, though. AQUALIX turned that around where they didn't have much control. They didn't push through hallway. They didn't find any picks until they opened up that wall. CZ getting the first pick there, and it kind of just tumbled. Didn't see a lot of those kills, so we didn't really see what was going on there, but it seemed like the members of AQUALIX were just capitalizing maybe on the aggression from Surf there, just able to open up that reading wall, and members upstairs maybe getting aggressive at that point, knowing that was going to be a pillar push into reading and trying to get aggressive, trying to take fights and losing the 1-by-1, kind of leaving it to the last two players on site to try and take it back. And like you saw, especially there was that grenade as well that was seemed to be, I'm not sure if that was planned or not, but kind of running into a grenade there was unfortunate for that player. I believe it was Spiff. But unfortunately, well, hey, they get that round, but like you said, they're still down 3 more rounds to bring it to overtime for AQUALIX.
Now Surf will say, okay, well, unfortunate. We lost reading. Guess we'll go to one of the other 2 sites that we won, specifically the one that just unlocked, and they will do just that. Go to kitchen. No vigil this time. Asian moves to the Malusi, so you do get some nice on-site utility or off-site utility if you want to place a Banshee on that top floor. Doubtful, though. But you do lose something that was very nice, which was that ERC causing some difficulty for AQUALIX to clear. There were still the Mute Jammers and the Mozzie Pass that definitely slowed down their clear of the 3rd and the 2nd floor, but that ERC did do quite a bit. And AQUALIX never were really able to even move down to the bottom floor because of that. So it's still an operator. I'm sure Asia can shoot very well on and provide some useful utility, but I will say, the previous strat worked very well. Not sure if it necessarily needed a change.
Yeah, also, yeah, that strat worked perfectly. They wasted quite a bit of time, and then when it came to that, like you said, like came to that transition, they just weren't able to do so because of that utility, because of just not knowing where the players are at, or whatever it was. But we'll see this time as it goes out, and we'll see them at least have the Mute and the Mozzie to deny that roam clear, or just deny the intel on the top floor. Of course, the Ashen waiting for a chance maybe to throw C4 once again. Last time was shot out. We'll see if he's able to get that off this time, going for it once again and waiting for somebody on AQUALIX to open up those hatches, or at least maybe walk on top of the hatch as he's just waiting for it. Otherwise, now we're going to see how fast AQUALIX can do so. Drop down, should spot out Ashen. C4 goes off on the other hatch, just opens it up for AQUALIX at that point. And now at this point, with a minute gone, we should see them jump down, start either pushing or taking fights. And now Surf, are they going to do once again? They're just going to pull back in the face of that pressure, or are they actually going to take fights? Actually, wait, they're going back to the bottom floor. They're just going to push straight into sight?
Well, there is quite a heavy presence for Surf on that top floor, but it's not like there is nothing from Surf here. We do have Ambi close by, but what is this, Benny? A Maestro giving himself up completely to the holes made in coat check? Where have I seen that one before? Ooh, nice shot by Ashen, though. Smokes Exile through the door frame, and Surf have reacted quickly to that kill onto the site. They have not let things get too far out of their control, and not let AQUALIX get too far into their house. Hat has taken a long time to open up those walls, so it gives the defense quite a bit of time to move back down. With everything exploding, you can see the defense trying to aggressively stop and move out the defenders. But right as one kill is attained for the attack, Surf always seems to answer back with one of their own.
That was some nice shots from Surf, and so far, well, again, like you're talking about, that slow push, like they want to go for that, just execute on the site, but they're taking a while to really create this execute, you know, get that control they need, open up the wall and get in, which allowing the Surf to fight back, take control, take some fights, and they still have that vertical control as well, upstairs inside of mining, so this push into Bakery is going to be a bloody one unless they can somehow make... I say that's how you get rid of them.
Great timing on that nade. Right as Ambi was like, hey, I think I should pick... Nope, and he got blown up by a nade. There is still Asian here doing very well on this side. Spiff doing very well on this side as well. A nice rotate by AQUALIX to exploit the lack of manpower, but now, as we started, it's a 1v2, and it's Gasher stuck in it. No drones except the Rotero drone that he has, but not enough time to likely get that intel if he wants to. He'll instead go on, try to grasp anything. He's likely just grasping at straws at the moment. Throws in a flashbang, knows the Melusi is somewhere outside of the double door as one's inside of the site. The C4 is ripped. He manages to get across in time, not taken down by the explosion, but he's still hesitant on which angle he should take, which gunfight he needs to commit to. Asian knows what he has to do. Spiff does as well. They have to play off each other. Nice, probably better luck than anything, but it's still the 1v2 that goes Surf's way, and they win their map choice 7-3.
I was hoping it'd be close somewhat, but it's still Surf to be a dominating win here on Cafe. And on last round, unfortunately, it was where one. It was a nice start. It was a good call from AQUALIX to try to just go straight for sight, knowing that the amount of roam that Surf does. But unfortunately, not able to capitalize on that first pick quite as much as they wanted to after getting rid of Reed. Unfortunately, they had to try and open the wall up and push away in the site. They didn't want to go through the double door, go through the expected doorways. They want to open the wall up and push straight in, but it's not so caught. You can't just open it like you want to. You have to solder the wall with that blowtorch and then push your way through, and it takes quite a while.
So, good work from Surf so far. I don't know. I can't remember. I know we compared it to the Wichita Wolves game. I think this was the exact same scoreline they beat Wichita Wolves on. Bit of a different fashion, I will say. Surf were definitely way more aggressive in that first matchup than they were in this matchup. Not to say that they weren't, but it definitely seemed like AQUALIX were at least pushing them back a lot more and putting up more of a fight in the early round as opposed to the Wichita Wolves in that game. But same scoreline, and now they get to go into their opponent's map pick, not only with the confidence, but also a map that Surf are perfectly happy and are perfectly willing to meet any team, AQUALIX included, on. Before we cut to a break and before we get into map number 2, just want to thank one of our sponsors real quick. Again, Mike and Ike's, as always. Take your candy game to the next level with either a pack of Mike and Ike's Original or Mike and Ike's Mega Mix. And hey, if it's keep in mind, I don't like fruit. I don't like fruit candy. But if it is a fruit candy that I will still eat, it's got to be worth something. So thank you, as always, to Mike and Ike's for sponsoring the show. You have map number 2 for Coastline after this short break, so do not go anywhere. Might see one of our grand finals contenders happen after this map.
Hello, my name is Asian and I play for Surf Esports. The biggest team flaw that we had was probably playing too comfortable and aggressive, which led us to getting first pick. To fix it, we'd probably start practicing during scrims, discipline, and that's about it. I think my team will do fairly confident against CL teams. We have like a LATAM approach. CL teams aren't really used to how T3 teams play. They scrim T2, T1. Our aggressive nature will definitely catch them off guard. So we had Gunner on the roster before, and he was playing like a rat entry, and I was on flank watch, so I was sitting on cams for the most part. But like my second nature is playing Ash Red Dot and like sneaking. So once Ambi came on, we put him on flank watch. It's been a lot better with the Ash and Asian duo. I want to annihilate Mystic because it has Tones and Gunner. Gunner left our team for literally no reason. I think it's because he didn't want to scrim, which is kind of dumb. And Tones, I just have beef with Tones because he's annoying and he's really cocky and his ego's really big over T3. I think the defining characteristic is that our team relies on gun skill. We play more of a LATAM aggressive. We play like an actual T3 team. It'll catch people off guard. We rely on our aim for the most part. So I think that's our defining characteristic. I truly believe that Achieve Esports is the easiest team to beat. Every time I played like the old Wichita Wolves roster with like Morocco, TPA, and Tragical, they always got shit on. They're pretty easy to beat, and I don't think their roster's that strong, just my opinion. I think Aerial Rise is going to be one of the harder teams to beat. Their roster's really strong. They have a lot of experience. My relax time is when I'm in the gym working out. South Korea, Seoul, looking at the cherry blossoms.
Was a tournament during the season of snow, filled with contenders of might, with names Deez, Ligma, and Joe. The road was a trying one, wrists aching with cramps. In the end, victors rose. We call them Winter Champs. Before they departed, they left us these words. Our journey's just begun. All thanks to the nerds.
Make that a 1v2.
2 seconds left. It's gonna come down.
Favor making a third as he puts up. Make it up. He finds the draw three. Stunning here from.
Welcome back, everybody. If you missed it, Surf won map number 1, 7-3. Though it was their own pick. Maybe AQUALIX will now find the heart to come back and see if they still have a shot at the grand finals. I am Lynx, joined by Benny, if you are just joining us, of course. But Benny, is it really still a chance for AQUALIX now that Surf has the momentum?
Yeah, we need to see some. I don't know. We saw some major mishaps when it came to the game against IO Academy. If AQUALIX somehow tamper with that, somehow tamper with the vibes on Surf's side, maybe they have a chance. But again, at this point, with momentum on the side, with as you said in the past, wind in their sails, it's not looking great though. Well, it ends up how we start this map off. If Coastline, if they get these first few rounds starting for Surf and they're just riding the waves, riding the tide, just chilling, vibing out, I don't see it really working out for AQUALIX.
Well, if AQUALIX are knocked out here, it's not over, Benny. It's not over, Benny. Because there are still plenty of opportunities for both them and any of you watching to compete in SCS. We have our mid-season tournament next week on January 3rd through the 5th, and our Stage 2 qualifiers, I believe January 7th through the 9th, and the January 14th to the 16th. It's right off the top of my head, so I'm pretty sure that's the right one. I want to take a look at the stats, and, well, if they keep up that performance, Benny, looking like they might need to pull up the registration info pretty soon.
Yeah, again, it's that. It's not looking great there, but hey, there's still one more map. There's still time for AQUALIX to try and prove something back and bring us to Oregon for a third map. It's still a try. It's still a chance. You don't have to bring it up just yet. Don't go to that page so quickly.
Yeah, don't pull it up now. If you're pulling it up now, just forfeit. Wait till after the series if you lose. No
But
point
yeah, again,
getting ahead of yourself.
It's already, again, we talk about those star players on Surf, and exactly. Asian and Ashton were just hitting their shots, denying people, just taking kills. We saw nice shots across the board. Well, they got to keep it up, and I'm assuming they will. They got the vibes behind them. I'm assuming they'll keep it up and going to coastline. And I'm not sure who's on attack and who's on defense. Oh, okay, so it's AQUALIX on attack. So again, they have the footing to go into it.
That's true. They are starting out on what is the preferred side, so see if that ends up working out. But again, Surf getting aggressive on defense on coastline is something they have done very well in the past, and in fact, I believe that is where they cemented their lead against Wichita Wolves in their game. Bad time for a Burt, but a great time for the game to start, as we're getting into map number 2 of coastline right as we speak. Surf starting out with the first attack and ban. Benny, will they ban a hard breach? Will they ban Thatcher? Or will it be something else?
We saw how well Habana worked for other teams when it comes to opening some of those walls, especially upstairs on Hookah. So banning Habana could make sense here. Flores, though, is not a bad ban either, though.
No,
Unless
it is
you're
not.
Karn.
Well, actually, that's not true. It is a very good ban if you're Karn. In fact, it is the best ban you could possibly hope for in any game ever if you are Karn. So,
my bad, I meant the other way.
Technically not correct on that card. But, all right, Zofia ban next up. I believe we've seen this a couple times against Ashen before, but I think he's also said in an interview that he's like, oh no, I have to play Finca now. And Zofia bans don't have nearly the impact as
you say that,
once
but it
did,
was Asian and Ashton were both playing Finca and Zofia, though. So you take one of them out, I guess.
He's going to play Yana. What is he to do? I mean, he does have 130 less ammo, I guess.
Valkyrie's alive. Valkyrie's available.
Wait, yeah, hold up. Oh, wait, scratch that thought. I was memeing. I was making a joke about Zofia and Yana. They left Valk up on coastline, and they left
went
Valk
to ban
up
Wamai instead
against
of Valkyrie.
Surf.
They are, like, I guess. Do they have?
I don't know about that one, guys. I don't know about that one. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not sure I was gonna go, especially because they're on defense first, and you're giving them the Valkyrie to play off of. I'm not sure about this. We'll see how it works out, and if they have a plan against those cameras. I don't know if they do specifically, but we're on Hookah first, and they have a Habana available. They can open these walls up, and they can create those. We've seen a lot of times when it comes to the site, creating this line of sights, opening up that quad wall, creating angles into Hookah, makes it very difficult for the defenders to play. If they get to that point and they aren't killed already.
That's what I'm worried about, Benny. That's what I am currently. My biggest concern is that they have left Ashen's favorite operator up on a map that was the genesis for the Valk ban. I'm a little bit worried. Though I will say there are certainly tools to deal with the aggression. Hat on the Lion, for example, can be very good. Exile also has a drone on one of Ashen's cam spots. So Hookah, if Ashen wants to get aggressive there, they are aware of that position. But right now he's standing in front of a window, so maybe he won't have an opportunity to get aggressive if a stray bullet flies through the Hookah double.
Oh, well. You say that even with the default cam, they saw one person going towards the office side, the Lion of Hat. So they have an inkling of what could be happening here. As they're joining on, there's actually no aggression downstairs for the moment. Well, for the moment, I see two members running downstairs, and as they're going to spot out that drone, they're going to spot two players running down the Cool Vibe stairs. Asian still playing his position inside of actually he's getting pressure from two sides right now. He's getting pressure from the blue side from the window and from the mud door towards Sunrise. Grenade coming out towards his position. He passes by his face. He's still playing his position, looking for a kill. He gets one though. Great shot with the red dot. He's making sure nobody's from behind is pushing up, and nobody aggresses with that first player. So Asian gets away. Okay, maybe not Scott Frey.
No, he is taken down, but there is Surf holding the office entrance with the hatch opened up. Unfortunately, Hat not aware, so those ZE1Ds I mentioned to stop any aggression will no longer be a factor in this round. Asian was the forefront of the defense, at least to AQUALIX's perception, the one they were mainly aware of. They do know of the Alibi's presence as well. You can see it Z-pinged, and Gasher trying desperately to get a kill through that barricade, but it doesn't happen. And Exile caught off guard by Spiff moving down the Cool Vibe stairs, catches Exile, I believe his back turned to the stairway. So unfortunate situation for the Sledge to find himself in. Unfortunate for Gasher and Afer, as they're the only ones left.
Yeah, I believe Exile was trying to play off the intel on Ambi's position inside of Kitchen. But unfortunately, there's no intel on Cool Vibe, so he just walks into the line of sight from Spiff. And now we're down to Afer and Gasher to try and make this up in a 2v4. No control really in their hands. They haven't taken control of Aqua. They haven't taken control of anything else really. They haven't really. They've cleared out Sunrise at this point. They pushed them back, but nothing really play off here utility wise. They see a bit. Looks like Reed gets shot in the side. Secondary shotguns. Is that shotgun he's using? No, it's SB11 he's firing there, I think. But at this point, yeah, he's got to try and push straight through into the site. But Spiff's there, ready to take out Gasher, and Afer's now in a 1v4. He's gonna be able to destroy a shield, I think. But otherwise, a C4 throws out. He's going to try and take a fight here, just peeking, see if he can get a pill for his stats there. Just a pad of stats, but no Ashen's there to finish him off.
And a very strong round to start out from Surf. It looked like with all the drones and all the utility that was being dumped at Asian's position, it honestly looked like that clear of the Arudi was going to go a lot better. Of course, it was traded out. It was 1-for-1, so could have been worse. But it's mainly, yeah, that position inside of Office and the position on Cool Vibes that was the undoing for AQUALIX. They had so many drones on the board. They had 10 for a good portion of that round, and I think they ended with 7. And yet the intel still seemed lacking. Unaware of the Aqua presence for Hat, unaware of the Cool Vibe presence from Spiff. Not places that are exactly uncommon for the defense to push down or move into, and yet AQUALIX seemingly were either tunnel visioned or not aware of. So hopefully, with 5 rounds in the future, you have time to iron out those flaws. As moving to Kitchen, offsite presence is something you will likely have to deal with as well. Ambi moving to the Oryx, Ashen sticking with the Valkyrie, and Spiff sticking with the Jaeger as well. All operators that I can bet you all the money in my pocket against all the money in your pocket are likely going to be offsite at max, or actually no, at a minimum, likely half the round. And I'm so confident in that. Just watch what's going to happen, and I bet you I'm right. Even if they die, it'll be offsite.
You actually have money in your pocket?
No, I have a phone and wireless earbuds. I don't have any money in my pocket.
I don't think anybody really carries money these days.
See, that was the bet. That was the gamble. Is that I have no money in my pocket, so if I lose, like, oh, sorry.
I just pull my pockets out, nothing's there.
Turn on my pockets and shrug.
But yeah, like you said, though, it's going to be a real testament of whether or not AQUALIX can deal with these players who are just waiting, who are craving to take these fights early in the round. Well, we'll see so far. We see, 2 members down the 3 players on that bottom floor, but 2 upstairs kind of running around. They set up that hookah shield once again to see if they push from that side. And so far, I'm assuming they'll be going for that VIP and master penthouse position for the most part. Just take that control, use that vertical control, but Ashen is playing that position. Well, no, he's playing downstairs, but there's at least a hole made by the Oryx of Ambi for when that happens, though. But they've made the way they open up into VIP. Nobody's there to greet them just yet. Nobody's there. Nobody from Surf is reacting just yet to this.
Ambi has a nice long angle looking into VIP and a nice avenue. Can move through luggage, try to contest that 90 area if he wants to, but with CZ on top of 90, or sorry, not on top of 90, he can watch 90, but on top of the roof, any rotations off the side are going to be very difficult, especially with him on that Lion, so likely not many flanks coming out from Surf, especially on that side of the map. That means AQUALIX are relatively safe for the moment, opening up those floors if they want to, moving forward along that area. If they do push onto that western side of the map, they will find Ambi and a couple other players waiting for that, but if they just want to go for a half clear with the defenders where they are, it honestly might work.
Also, with the VIP control they have, they could go for a minimalistic take and just open the floor up and go for a plant inside of kitchen, though. Again, depends if they can draw out those players on site and at least push them out or kill them, depending on how they do it. And if they can just stop them from using that courtyard control to fire back. But first pick goes to Asian, just swinging from hookah onto Exile, who was peeking out and knowing his position, I assume. And now from that point, Afer on the white stairs, maybe to try and get a kill in return or stop that aggression. At this point, he's always backed off back in the penthouse. And so far, it may be that AQUALIX trying to make that execute happen. It's going to be interesting to see how Surf responds, because otherwise, nobody's really aggressing for the moment.
They do have active intel on Asian's position, so the alibi not getting aggressive, but could find himself the unwelcome recipient of a grenade if Hat wants to go into that position. Not sure where the Finka is currently. Do know where Afer is. He's currently inside of Penthouse, finding a kill under Reed down through the floor holes. They might be aware of Spiff's position inside of security, or Ashen's position, but are they not? They actually might not be aware of the Valkyrie sitting tucked in this corner. No, there we go. CZ is cognizant of that potential. He just catches Asian walking directly out in front of Courtyard. He's able to cut down all of them. For AQUALIX, they never really had to meet the Surf aggression because they all stationed themselves in hookah, and once CZ got on that roof, couldn't really move anywhere.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. It seems like AQUALIX did a great job of just cutting off any rotations, or at least waiting for an aggression, and nobody from Surf tried to aggress, knowing that CZ was there, knowing that AQUALIX had some potential or had the intel knowing what they rotate. We see our first pick from Asian, though, was a good pick from the Exile. Exile was the first person to go down, and I kind of thought, well, they don't have that, that softer structure as much anymore. What are they going to do next? But at that point, they have Aether above on the hatch, expecting them to walk down, maybe walk through the lobby. We have them going through that Lamborghini door, and then just finding picks as they push through. Members of Surf peeking their heads out, taking those fights as they do. And unfortunately, time and time again, AQUALIX were ready this time to that aggression. They were ready. The plan was there, and they were able to adapt pretty well. Can they keep it up, though?
They get to attack the same side as before, so if there were any time to keep the pace and keep the trend up on, it would be this. Same setup, or same operator selection from Surf, I will say, so is a little bit different, but I imagine we will see a little bit more presence on that eastern side, inside of Penthouse Theater and VIP. We didn't even see the wall reinforced in VIP last time, so hopefully that might be a change that we'll see. It might not actually be it. They have 2 reinforcements left, and I think I hear the animation, so that VIP wall could be soft again. That'll provide a very easy entry point for AQUALIX in this round, but Surf could still contest it. They have some holes opened up, so as long as they do that, well, it should be okay. Even if it's not reinforced, they can still put some pressure on it.
Oh, maybe Ambi this time, rather than playing inside of Billiards, will play inside of Penthouse, looking to get an early pick on an unsuspecting member of AQUALIX, which, well, that unsuspecting member will walk by, hear the shots fly by their head and go, what the? And walk away. But it looks like maybe Ambi is going back to Billiards, so it seems like maybe the same positions are in store for these members of Surf. It's going to be interesting to see how they aggress differently this time, and maybe even stop some of that plan or some of that play from AQUALIX, because, well, it seemed at some point AQUALIX had a plan, they executed it perfectly, and that's what they did well. What CZ elsewhere takes out Ambi. Ambi was, again, that person who's upstairs running around, and he's been caught off inside of Billiards. Great job from AQUALIX to, looks like their intel game is doing pretty well.
Yeah, and Surf aren't really pressuring this side of the map all that much. They have those angles, which it did get them a pick last time, but AQUALIX are just left to do what they did before. Enter Penthouse and Theater, have CZ on the roof, holding down anybody moving in from, or moving up 90 to try to pressure VIP or Penthouse or Theater, and Surf are either stuck inside of hookah on the second floor, stuck inside of Billiards, or if they move down below, stuck on that first floor. So without much pressure on that area, AQUALIX are left to go with their game plan just as they did before, and it's hard to see where Surf are going to change things aside from just trying to win some gunfights.
Well, maybe if they know they're going for that same play inside of service, they can try and position themselves as they would before to stop that push in Lamborghini. But with Exile still alive this time, they can still go for a different play. They can go for that kitchen play, opening up that floor. And as I say, that Exile already dealing with one person on site, which was Reed. So having that vertical pressure this time is a difference maker when it comes to execute. Aether going to the Lamborghini door, looking for somebody from the side of Surf, peeking once again. Asian understanding someone might be out there. C4 comes out, looks like he's waiting for a chance, or maybe someone to call it off, but a grenade actually destroys that C4, unfortunately. And, well, Aether at least goes down, so that Lamborghini pressure isn't there anymore.
There is still all this verticality that AQUALIX has right now. The 2 players in main lobby, Exile is only now just opening up holes above them, so Asian and Ashen have to be careful where they place themselves, as their coverage up above could be ripped away from them the moment they try to cement themselves and hold an angle. Gasher outside the service door right now is, well, unfortunately, right as he's about to make his push, the man count goes even for AQUALIX, but Asian on low HP. Ashen now move back inside a bathroom, and there's nobody there watching. Everyone from the attack decided to help the horizontal and the push on the site, and it allowed Ashen to get an angle on Gasher, who was all alone entering that service door. CZ now the only one left. Spiff finds him in courtyard. That's gotta be a throw by AQUALIX based on how that started and how it seemed like it was going.
I would say I'm not sure it was a throw, but it seemed like they were going for that same plan, but Surf this time, rather than, as they were before, they were trying to, play it slow and then pop slowly into that, that Lamborghini door to take fights. It seemed like this time, despite the first 2 picks going their way, Surf were just, at one point in time, AQUALIX didn't have the intel. They didn't have the intel on Ashen and Asian were. in that later round, allowing for Ashen to go back to the bathroom, play inside of that stall where nobody knew where he was. Asian to play, either be security or buy lobby, still unnoticed, able to get kills onto AQUALIX. So despite AQUALIX having more members live coming to the execute, they didn't execute nearly as well, maybe because more members were on that top floor trying to pressure from above, and they didn't have quite the amount of members walking the Lamborghini. I don't know for sure, but I will say it did seem like there's some solo plays, not really solo per se, but people are just kind of going up to certain doorways or certain angles by themselves with that ability to refrag.
Even then, I think they even had a hole made above where Ashen ended up killing Gasher from, so I think it was more so maybe the attack just getting so focused on that lobby play that the thought of bathroom in the heat of the moment just wasn't even a thought in their minds. Either way, definitely a missed opportunity for AQUALIX on the attack. It might not be a throw, but definitely a win that seemed like it was going their way. Hookah has not been a site that has been the best for them. They did... Oh, actually, it's been Kitchen that is the only one they've won so far. So, on Surf's second attempt of Hookah, this could be an opportunity for AQUALIX to even up the score, just as they did, or just they even it up 2-2 on Cafe. We'll have to see if that happens, as Surf were able to get a lot more aggressive on this site than they have been on Kitchen, and well, so far, maybe Ashen is looking to make that trend happen a lot earlier in the round.
It's same old, same old. There's no anybody falls for this. But there's also a lot more aggression on this bottom floor. Last time we saw the members of Surf, go downstairs. 2 members walk down that Cool Vibe stairs, and they, Asian was by himself at Sunrise, which he is once again. But we see Ambi over by the kitchen. Ashen's looking to run out of this, awkward door, and we also see Spiff playing Office. So again,
Ashen.
last time Asian got cut off from the, that blue bar window, so Spiff could be in a position to try and at least refrag and make it even more difficult. C4 thrown out. He knows one's on the roof, but that's quite a throw and quite a play.
I could safely say I have not seen somebody go for that C4 before. Maybe that's the reason. Still the opening pick for Surf. Exile downed outside of, well, not downed in the term of the game, downed in that he will be down for the count for the rest of the round. Taken down outside that Sunrise window. It has not stopped AQUALIX from finding ground inside of Sunrise. Not stopped CZ either from getting a kill on Ambi, who's not been having the best game so far. It's now even, so that loss of Exile not nearly as bad. You don't have those nades, but his primary utility is not the most important on this site. You still have that line, you still have that Finka, but you still have to nail down these roamers, because they will provide problems for you wherever they rise. And with one making a solo play up white, he's found Asian, but here's Ashen in the position to capitalize, but only a couple shots in the shoulder of what CZ finds. Ashen manages to cause a little bit more problems, but the kill has not found itself right now.
CZ be the only one going off this round so far, getting 2 kills for his team, make it a lot more possible. Swift playing off of that will get a kill on Aether though. So this is kind of the pressure so far from Surf. It's only really coming from CZ in his direction. He has control Aqua. Hat maybe going towards the big window, but he's afraid of being ran out on though, because of course they don't have a player on that hookah balcony anymore. They don't have an air jabs or any kind of utility to stop Ashen from just running out and trying to get a kill if someone is on the big window. So there's kind of a lack of pressure here from the side of AQUALIX when it comes to execute. They only have this one-sided push through Aqua, though. Hat's on the rappel now. He's worried about it. He's looking back and forth, but he can only put his tension in one place though. He looks away for a second, plans on to go down. This will be time to run out, and he gets shot. He upside down rappel at the wrong time. Ashen will down Hat, and now it's down to just CZ and Gasher though, but they have the plant down. Gasher's running through, trying to stay alive by the pool table. Shots come down. CZ goes down too. Gasher as well, down to Ashen, and Spiff will clean it up, and they'll take another round, making it 3-1.
Yeah, CZ might have gotten that kill there, but in terms of the 1-for-1, that was infinitely better for Surf than it was for AQUALIX, because CZ might have gotten a kill on a player, getting aggressive, trying to kill Gasher as he was getting the bomb down, but Surf got that big window player. They got basically the player who can cover everything that is the most helpful for Gasher in that position. So they can get up, they can get aggressive, they can play on that pool table, they can 2v2 a lot more effectively without having to worry about that big window angle. So good job by Ashen. Good job thinking quick on your feet. But still, I would say solid job to AQUALIX in that round. It might have been a bit of a solo play by CZ, but getting that kill inside of 90 really did open things up. He's able to start making that play there. They push Ashen backwards into the site. So for AQUALIX, it was honestly a pretty solid early to mid game. It was just Surf had a little bit better, I would say, impromptu thinking when it came to that post plant that edged it out for them in the end.
You think we have to be as scared for the runner if Valkyrie wasn't available?
You think maybe this just overall would be a little bit less oppressive for AQUALIX if Valkyrie wasn't available?
I don't know. It's interesting because I think either way, Ashen probably would have ran out and tried to kill the person big.
No,
window.
no, I don't think the Valkyrie was the cause of that play, but I'm just kind of expanding the analysis to overall.
True. Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, a lot of this is augmented by the fact that you're able to just see what everything's going on.
Yeah.
So it is interesting to think about maybe if this would have been different if that Valkyrie wasn't in play. But hey, maybe when AQUALIX goes to the defense, they can do something of this similar with that Valkyrie in play. We'll see though. But yeah, it's just been a lot of great plays based off of intel. It's really working off of the intel well for Surf. And yeah, like I said before, that big window play, if that had just been different, if he able to kill Ashen on that, on that run out, it may be a bit different story. But we'll see here. We'll go to Penthouse and Theater for the first time for this map so far. And so far, well, it's going to be just clearing out this roam when it comes to the extension, when it comes to billiards and hookah. Same thing as we see before, just in the opposite when it comes to that hookah billiards defense.
Yep. Still trying to hold very aggressively on the opposite side of the map. I say that at Castle Barricade Aqua, and well, nobody's there now. I guess Ambi is, but aside that, nobody really in that area so far. Okay, there we go. I was about to say. Just getting to their positions late into the game. Not wrong entirely. AQUALIX getting their positions very early on, already on the roof, already opening up that hookah wall, that billiards wall, I should say, be more precise. Trying to make sure that nobody can just rotate safely in that area with the window open as well. I doubt anybody from Surf will pay any attention to that side of the map. Asian, maybe not getting aggressive, but definitely spotted rotating across that guitar doorway is easy fodder for Kid Hat's assault rifle as the Oryx goes down without much of a fight.
Well, now they open up that VIP wall. They dealt with the person in VIP that was Asian. So now at this point, they can start pushing through. But again, they have to make sure they can cut off these players who are going to play the hallway, going to play those long angles from billiards. Hat's pushing through. Probably knows one's going to play that angle. Destroys the BP with that. So no more intel on his position. Pushing through into penalties if he does. CZ on the big window too. Looks like, oh, he just sees someone punching open holes. And he still gets the kill. Spiff knew of his position. But unfortunately, Spiff's not in place to win that fight. So with VIP control now, pushing farther and farther, looking to find more picks. Ashen getting hit from the side, not aware of Aether's presence in VIP. Ambi, though, looking to try and bring things back, but can they get the plant down?
Well, that castle barricade is not easy for the castle to find an angle. It's not really for anybody to deny the plan, but Ambi's C4 lands right on target with it dropped inside of the site. Ashen is the only one left, so even though the bomb is in the defender's hands, Ashen's only on 1 HP, and there's nothing he can do to deal with an attacker in front of him and behind him. 2-3 for AQUALIX right now. They might look very good in the attacking rounds they've won, but still, a 3-3 half on coastline attack, still not what you'd likely be hoping for and anticipated.
Now, 3-3 half would be the best at this point, but still going to require AQUALIX to bring it back in their defense. And that's a tall task against a Surf team like this. But we'll see so far. We have one more round to go. Can they make this a 3-3 half? We go to double bar for Surf. And that last round, though, too, that was just... It was difficult, just losing members early on. So, killing out Asian. Hat gets that first pick. And then all the control they had at VIP. Good C4 from Ambi to try and stop it, but... Even with that C4, just the fact that they're able to push through when it becomes a 90, when it comes to denying Ambi coming back up white stairs, all the control from side of AQUALIX is great. Can they do it again, though? This blue bar will be kind of that same thing. Getting control of top floor, using that vertical pressure on site is going to be huge.
Any exiles on Blackbeard? That's it.
Didn't we see Pox play Blackbeard? He got
my
like a case of it.
Yeah, it's true. We've also seen Spirits on Blackbeard. I believe we also saw, I think it might have been Exile actually played Blackbeard yesterday too. However, that was with Rethink and subbing in, so a little bit of a different situation. I'm interested to see what he does here. Obviously, the Blackbeard can be very good, specifically playing on Windows, though. But the normal context there is Windows on Repel. Not going to happen here in all likelihood, so I want to see what Exile's application of it is. Maybe he just wants to have 2 freebies in case he gets headshot. I don't know. I'm not in his brain. Could be anything. Thankfully, Benny, the nice thing about Coastline is you can make these risky decisions because you don't need all the same utility you do on other maps.
Very so. You don't need all that hard breaching, really. You don't need anything crazy when it comes to doing this, but Redar looking for a pick on that window. He's playing the position as you usually see, so at this point, it's going to be clearing this utility and trying to push him out so they can open up that wall. When it comes through from Cat to blow it up, should be destroyed now, and he's gonna, that person's gonna push out and push towards either the rotate or push towards that window. Yeah, Reed's gonna push towards the window, looking for a pick behind the bar, doesn't find anybody. But so far, at least, hey, they did the first part. They opened up that wall. Now they got to get upstairs, create that vertical pressure, and deal with these players. And maybe that's what the black bit's for, is they can get maybe on that hookah window, get on that big window. I see him exactly right there, and try and deal with these roamers. Stop them. Asian, great intel right there. Yellow pings on his position, fired through the wall. He was unfortunately in a soft spot. So he goes down, and now see if that his Spiff can stay alive. But Reed with the trade on the CZ downstairs.
So AQUALIX still holding the advantage so far, cementing it further, but Spiff, almost gets 2 with 1 spray. Spiff trapped outside of there. Now with Ambi down, though, all the hopes for a 4-2 half for Surf are on Spiff, and he doesn't even see Hat as he smokes him and slaps him down off that angle. It is a 3-3 half for AQUALIX, and we might have not been optimistic about that, but hey, it's still even, and they looked pretty good in the attacking rounds. They did win.
Yeah, that last round especially, they just able to just smack down those players who were playing positions. Great intel onto Asian's position, great intel elsewhere, trade from CZ, able to get rid of the players downstairs on site and just leave kind of Spiff by himself upstairs in the hookah roam. So great job from AQUALIX. Well, we're going to see more of that on their defense now, though. They go to Kitchen and Service first. We got to see if they can use that Valkyrie, just as you saw from Surf, and just smack down Surf. Take a peg down. Get rid of some of those vibes that they're running with right now.
Or you let the vibes ride as high as they want, and then you beat them anyway.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Big brain right there. That's just for bragging rights at that point.
Bomb located by attackers.
I doubt Surf are all too down to the dumps after a 3-3 half, especially on their defense, starting out on their opponent's map pick. They're probably chilling, especially a coastline, a map that they are very comfortable on. Does mean that AQUALIX, after that 3-3 half, they get to use the Valkyrie now. Afer gets to take up the mantle. Not CZ, who's been going 9-4. He'll instead rock with the Malusi, but they have the intel that I'm sure will likely facilitate some aggression for CZ in this round. Ambi will actually bring out the IQ, an operator we did not see, I believe, on the entirety of AQUALIX's attack. The IQ meant to hunt down any black eye cameras in or outside of the map. You also see Ashen go to the Twitch, maybe to find some of those goo mines in the building, or just play for the F2 in the smokes. I don't know.
It's also the F2 probably.
It's up to you. Maybe, maybe not.
Hey, give him a good gun. He doesn't have the Zofia, so he has to pick up another operator. Not the Finka, though. Surprisingly.
That's true. That's a good point. No Finka, yeah.
Yeah.
No Lion either.
Yeah. Well, they're bringing Ambi on the IQ at least, so they're trying to at least, engage with those cams and deal with them in a sense when it comes to the gadgetry. So I think, it worked. We didn't see an IQ whatsoever from the side of AQUALIX, but hey, Spiff starts off, takes down CZ, who may have been roaming elsewhere, but he was all alone on that roam, so that's going to be easy pickings for Surf.
Yep, no recourse by AQUALIX. Maybe the potential for some, depending on where these black eye cameras are positioned. Afer outside of theater right now could try to find a kill, but he's been spotted by that Twitch drone and will give his position away with somebody on his white window. Ashen can hold his cross, but wow, he gets smoked. But thankfully, Spiff is there for the trade through the 90 wall. The gains made by AQUALIX are short-lived, and they instead fall back to a deficit. Gasher was contemplating catching the sledge off guard, but Asian is still one step ahead of that Legion. He moves in through Billiards, catches him off guard as well, and AQUALIX seemed like they might have had a good winning hand in the early round. That's a 2-4, now a 1-4, and we still have half the round to go.
Yeah, that was only half the round, and that clear has been tremendous from the side of Surf. Getting that first easy pick and looking to finish off Hat. Now Hat's on 10 HP. He's got people at entry. He's got people at service. He's got people above him. It's Spiff to finish him off. And Surf, well, the vibes are definitely riding high after that one.
Yeah, not at all missing a beat. Did not see how CZ died, but as you said, he was roaming a little bit isolated, so maybe it was a pinch, maybe it was him being pushed off, it's BZ cutting off a rotate, maybe it was just Spiff face-checking and winning that fight. I'm not too sure. Either way, overall, solid round for Surf. But if you want to see more solid rounds after SCS Stage 1, because, of course, this is not the end for SCS, we have a couple events on the horizon for you to take a look at. January, I guess next week, basically, we have our mid-season tournament, I believe January 3rd to January 5th. to basically, have a little bit of a palate cleanser between stages 1 and 2. Have a nice little one-off where 64 teams can play to see who can take home the cash prize at the end. And then, of course, there is the Stage 2 qualifiers for the next couple weeks after that, January 7th to the 9th, 14th to the 16th. And that's going to be a little bit more of a lengthy affair as opposed to that mid-season tournament. The mid-season's registration is free. For Stage 2 qualifiers, it is not. But either way, there are plenty of options for you to get a little bit more of a taste of SCS Season 6. And we're not taking a long break after Stage 1 ends.
No hiatus. We're still going. Don't stop.
Our hiatus is about 3 days.
That's not a hiatus.
That's not a hiatus. That's a sabbatical.
Yeah.
That's not a hiatus. That's a very mild cold.
that's a weekend. They were just taking a weekend off.
That is Thanksgiving break in elementary school. Actually, no, that was 4 days.
I will say that's like the 1 day off. That's like the weekend and that 1 day as a corporate worker get off or whatever holiday.
That's a snow day.
It's a snow day. It's not even really a day off. It's just barely. It's 1 day really. But yeah, either way, there's still plenty of chances to play in SCS. Plenty of chances to show your skill in Siege. And well, we'll see so far if AQUALIX might need to do that themselves in mid-season. Well, Exile already taking heavy damage from the window. He just runs away with 1 HP. But of course, the good thing there's a Thunderboard on the board, so you can go to the Kona Station, get healed up, and be like, okay, guys, I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna take a second, heal up, and go back and fight the fight.
Ambi also desperately hunting for those black eye cameras right now. Spotted one outside in a bush, place you would least expect. Hat getting aggressive on that office doorway. Spots, I believe that was Spiff for just a second. I don't know. It was too far away for me to see, but Spot's an attacker for just a second and not able to find anything off of it. He'll instead push off pretty quickly, and Ambi behind that Gemini replicator will start progressing into the building. First pick last time gets the first pick this time. CZ takes down Ashen somewhere around that Cool Vibe stairs or on the hookah balcony, wherever it was. Surf, minute 15 in, down a man.
I think that was Ambi on his devices and looking at the sky. But either way, that's a great start. Get rid of deal with Ashen and his reign of terror. Make sure you can't thwart their efforts with an F2. But Smith, again, just like last round, he's been quite the player on that sledge. 2 kills last round, a grenade this time. The deal with the Kona Stations, or whatever it's called, the Thunderbird of CZ in return. Then we just see Ambi below, just trying to find any kind of utility to deal with from below. No other pressure from AQUALIX on this downstairs for the moment. So the question now is, are they going to go for that Aqua to Birds push? Or are they going to try and push up Cool Vibes as AQUALIX get aggressive, trying to stop them from pushing up as they destroy the barbed wire? And really, now the question, it seems like it's going to be that Cool Vibes push.
Does seem to be. The nade and the sledgehammer destroying that barbed wire will give Afer the idea that I need to pull out this shotgun and wait to see how many bodies decide to send themselves up these stairs. It's a replicator first, so a ghost more than a body, but still an indicator that there is going to be some presence on that Cool Vibe stairs, and the Malusi and the Smoke both need to be aware, but now it's just Afer with that job. Gasher on the run out, gets back inside, just short-lived though, as Asian watches over on that area, but this can still be a hell of a play by Afer, and he can shut down this Cool Vibes entrance. Reed is the only one separate from that attack on the hookah balcony. Afer's not been flashed. Now Spiff is down. Hat's there. He's the one that shuts it down instead. The 2v3 for both the Smoke and the Jaeger, but it's Hat with the majority of the play to even up the scoreboard, I believe the second time in this match.
Yeah, that was looking great for Surf, getting those opening picks. And then, actually, no, it was actually AQUALIX the first opening pick, but it was Spiff to fight back to get the refrag and another pick on top of that to keep them going, to give them that man advantage going into the execute. Well, and also Reed getting a pick as well. So they're just keeping them together, going for the execute. They had the man advantage, but the fact that Hat, we all thought it was me, Afer, sitting by that softball unread. We thought he was going to be the big player there, but Hat, the fact that he was still sitting vase, even after they opened up the single wall, dealt with the Cool Vibe pressure, and then it was Afer just to pop up and stop that refrag from the player from Reed outside of hookah door. Just crazy from AQUALIX, keeping the game 4-4, sticking toe-to-toe with Surf so far.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Not losing too much ground after that first loss on their defense. They'll go down to Blue Barn Sunrise after their hookah victory. Don't want to try Kitchen again. Respectable. Fair enough. Surf will stick with their IQ pick to try and deal with the Valkyrie on a new front this go around. Some other operator changes, of course, as well. CZ to the Aruni, Exile to the Ella. So some utility to make the entry a little bit more difficult, give some intel if somebody pushes on through a doorway, but also to stop them from pushing through the doorways or windows at all with those Aruni gates. Of course, the name of the game here will likely still be aggression, as Aether on the smoke will likely maybe be sitting outside of that mud room, but AQUALIX will try to likely get some kills and try to stop the attack by gunfights from pushing in through hookah and getting that vertical control.
Yeah, but it's probably going to see Aether. I wonder if Aether's going to sit in that same spot we saw before. Usually you see players in that, cornered by the bomb chassis, but I see no shield placed there, so maybe not. They're going to let that control go to the side of Surf with no problem. They can open that up, though there is at least the Aruni gate and a ADS to stop the grenades from pushing through, but it looks like drones coming through to see who's playing inside of Sunrise for the moment. We'll see probably the members of Surf go up to that hookah doorway and start taking fights. Otherwise, it should be just another case of them just figuring out what the play is going to be. Where are these members of AQUALIX at? Where are they mainly staying? As Hat's going to be the one. Again, he played this pretty well with the Vase last round. Let's see if he can do it again. But Exile with a shotgun right below the entry into Aqua.
Trying to see anybody walks over those holes if he can get himself a kill. Some reckless entry by the attack. Nobody really sitting over in that area right now or trying to enter that area right now for Surf. Heavily focused on this mudroom, Gasher tries to go for a long angle and a run out inside of service or outside of service, but there's Surf watching that reading well into that, and Gasher, all he gains is negative 50 HP, so barely anything to be happy about. Rotation by Surf instead. They were contesting that mudroom, but now they go to VIP and Guitar to clear out this top floor.
Yep, they're going towards VIP. We saw a Twitch drone as well, just destroying utility on site. Gasher rotates upstairs from that kitchen service entry area to now contest these players from Surf, taking that control. He's by himself, though. Again, this isolated kind of roam can be a problem at times, though. It looks like he knows one's on the balcony of Aqua. Pre-fires through. Exile's still there, though, so even if he doesn't get the kill, CZ's also there. Right? A great kill from CZ. Ashton, though, will stop Aether, though. Was on site, and Spiff's there to stop that rotate from CZ. So great 2 kills from Surf to give him that advantage.
And look at that. Hat, unfortunately, not aware that his angle exposes himself to a hole made in the floor. Exile and Gasher, the duty of stopping Surf from taking the lead once again falls entirely on their shoulders. Ashen watching Cool Vibes, see if anybody tries to push up. Both the remaining defenders are sitting inside a blue bar and office right now, so Sunrise is clear to try and go for a plant. They still have angles to deal with, but in terms of actual bodies from the defense, nobody is sitting inside that area. Ashen catches, my Exile just rotating out in front of Cool Vibes. Same with Gasher. Both, one trying to take a fight, the other just sprinting in front of the Twitch. Either way, a bit of an anticlimactic end to that round.
Yeah, I guess they knew that their angles were being covered at that point, so they're like, screw it, we're just gonna run for it and try to go for these kills. But really, it started out, well. It started well Surf that they weren't able to make any kind of headway going straight into sight, so they had to rotate upstairs. AQUALIX start, rotating players upstairs to try and capitalize. You saw CZ run out, get that kill onto Asian. You saw members, though, at that point, too, there were members elsewhere getting picks from Surf, though. Surf able to cut off the rotates from those roamers like Gasher, like CZ upstairs. And at that point, they can just focus on that vertical control. And you saw Hat die to that vertical control. And the last 2 players are in blue bar in office, who have to now come back towards Sunrise and try and take recontrol of that site. And at that point, Surf already had those angles covered. And you saw right there, at that point, they're like, all right, we're just going to run out the door and just try to get back at the site.
Going back to kitchen now, this was not a good run for AQUALIX. They lost CZ early on in the opening duel, and Surf, even though they met some bumps in the road over the course of the round, it still seemed like overall it was a fairly easy job for them over the course of the series. In fact, I think it was a 1v4 by the end, so they only met exactly 1 bump in the road before they won the round in the end. Hookah not unlocked yet. AQUALIX are forced to sort of pick from worse alternatives, so you got to do what you got to do, and you got to win more than one site if you want to win this map and this series, so they got to try somewhere. It is here, with maybe some more aggression in mind.
I think last time we talked about the fact that CZ was picked off first, maybe on a solo roam. We'll see if they still have that kind of solo roam here for AQUALIX, if they're going to play more together and see if they can refrag these players and keep themselves, you know, man count wise close at least. We'll see though. As Spiff's going to open up into Sunrise. I don't believe anybody's playing Sunrise from AQUALIX, so there's no real pressure on this first floor from the side of AQUALIX. It's just mainly players on the top floor holding that hookah billiards section for the moment, though. There is the Oryx of Afer, who is looking maybe to run towards that section later on. But otherwise, not much is happening here, and Surfer just slowly making the way on that first floor. No pressure on the second floor.
Ooh, one player anticipating Exile on this hatch. You can see Spiff holding that angle. Exile almost peeked into it. Now they are well aware of that position. I believe somebody on the hookah balk as well. So a couple opportunities for Exile to fall, but not today. Takes CZ's position on the top of the Cool Vibe stairs behind that hookah doorway as the alibi instead goes into billiards. One attacker, two attackers, three attackers have all entered on that bottom floor. One inside of Blue Bar, two inside of Sunrise. And everyone from the defense is waiting right now for Surf to make their move. They haven't been able to find any of these angles yet, but with Ambi getting aggressive on that hookah doorway, could be the first engagement right there.
Afer's in a position as well, but Ashton takes down Hat though on site, so now the members have to push forward. CZ takes on Ambi. There's Afer's though, coming from security, peeking his head out and finding a great kill on Asian. Ashton's made his way into service. He's waiting for his team to push through so he can get that plant down. Afer comes through. Are they aware of Afer's presence though? He's walking through, he's checking his left corner. He knows the plant there, but Ashton's there ready for that refrag. And now at this point, the plant's gone down. It's up to the members to come back. Exile caught off by Ashton. Ashton on a tear. He's looking for his third, but he can't seem to find it for the moment. Ashton's walking through, unable to get it, but there goes a one just running through. Ashton kills Reed, but it's still Spiff and Reed to finish off the last two members of AQUALIX. Now, is that match point?
Why, Benny? My good friend. It is. It is match point. Series point. Semi-final number 1 point. Not as enthusiastic as other series, but it is very enthusiastic because all but one round separates Surf from being the first team to enter the grand finals of SCS Season 6 Stage 1. They just got to win one coastline defense. Just one, which normally we would say, coastline attack. Excuse me. They started out on defense. That's what I was thinking about. All they have to do is win one coastline attack, which they've won 3 so far. And while AQUALIX are going back to hookah, even if they win this one, AQUALIX have to go to a site that they have not won at all this entire half. It's looking very dangerous for AQUALIX, especially after them going back to kitchen and it not exactly being the best show. And the same can be said for Blue Bar. If hookah is the only safe haven for AQUALIX, and even if they win this site, what are the odds that they win the next one? It might be only one round, but history does not seem to shine a very bright light on AQUALIX chances just to win that one if it ends up 6-5.
And even the hookah billiards defense, that was off the back of Hat just playing it great on Vase when it came to execute, and so is Afer. Most of that round was, Surf, the first pick goes in the favor of AQUALIX, but Surf getting those picks in return and giving them the favor going to execute was a big part of it. So unless we see a much different roam here where they're able to at least strike Surf a huge blow to start off, I'm not sure if we can really replicate or depend on someone from AQUALIX having to try and clutch it out in these moments. We'll see so far though. CZ firing through the kitchen window, and so far there's 2-3 members actually on this bottom floor for AQUALIX. So a much more pressured roam though, but at the first sign of pressure, they've all backed off for the moment, back towards site.
Everyone backed off. Surf can be a little bit happy going in. Why does we say that? 2 guys are like, what's going on? And they go back up the stairs. Now Hat is back downstairs. So not everyone has pulled off just yet, but Hat could very well, as I was about to say, find itself the unwelcome recipient of an OPD. It stands for opening death if you are not well versed in the terminology. But it's traded out. CZ takes down Ashen instead, the second highest performer, but only by 1 kill for Surf. So not a terrible trade overall, in all honesty. Sure, you lose Hat, but neither utility was exactly the most important for either team so far. So taking out one of the better performing players, I'd take that deal if I was AQUALIX.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one right there. That's a pretty decent trade there. Let's see, well, if they can make it up this time like they did before. Well, there's a grenade comes out. You can't find anybody inside of Hookah for the moment. Asian looking to destroy that utility on the Cool Vibe stairs. And so far, looks to be that same kind of execute from Surf so far. Just make sure they can take control of Cool Vibes, push their way up, and see if they can pressure these players. But we'll see if anybody from Surf goes for that, maybe that big window controller, or play that window inside of Hookah, which Reed is on the moment. Reed got a kill here from last time, looking to try and deal with that Vase player. But so far, otherwise, first 2 minutes, otherwise, what is the plan from Surf here?
Under the waiting game is what Reed is doing. That is his plan. It almost bears fruit, but Exile only takes most of his HP and damage instead of all of it. Trying to send it up Cool Vibes is what they plan to do. Keep in mind, it was a 2v3. Surf did get that man advantage before, but it was still that push up Cool Vibes that proved a bit too elusive come the end of the round. Afer on these stairs getting even more aggressive than he did before. He sees one chasing him up that stairway, and that's exactly what they're trying to do come the end. But still some smoke canisters blocking their way, and with this shotgun, this is very dangerous for Surf if they don't clear him out. But with a nade cooked, it could be sent up, could land at his feet, but he's shot right as it gets taken down, and it lands at the feet of Spiff. A 3v2, but the shoe's on the other foot this time, as it's still all on Cool Vibes, and it tumbles and spins even out of Surf's favor on attempt number 2. Exile spots Ambi moving up Hookah, but he can't flick onto Reed in time. The bomb going down. It's all up to Ambi on Cool Vibes to try to cover this plant. They know he's in this position. CZ gets the kill, and Ambi can't finish it off. AQUALIX stave off defeat for just 1 round longer, and they just have to win 1 more to keep their hopes alive in overtime.
Just 1 more. They got 1 more, but that round was just, that kind of exemplifies the issues with Surf at times, is that sure, they're great at gunfights, but it comes times when it comes to the executes, sometimes they just don't make the greatest calls, because that was just all that was a Cool Vibes push. That was the entirety of the plan for that attack, was just, we're going to take control of Cool Vibes. That's it. And that's really what happened. Was, unfortunately, that came to not a fruition, came to just death after death. And I guess the main part was the fact that Asia was trying to throw a grenade, didn't expect for the smoke of CZ to be just kind of, was it CZ? Maybe it was wrong here. Maybe it was Hat or CZ, but I can't remember who it was. Or it was Afer, actually. It was Afer. Afer was sitting on his smoke, sitting there. He's at the landing, now at the top of the stairs, kills him, drops the grenade on Smith, despite Smith getting the refrag, and just kind of, that Cool Vibes push falls apart entirely.
Was very one-sided for Surf. But that was the round that we said, okay, AQUALIX, we think you can win this.
Yeah.
We think you've got this. Now this is the one where they have to break the trend. They have to prove it to us that they can win this. Not going to Kitchen. They've lost that twice. They'll go to Blue Bar, the other site that is better only because they've won it less times than they've lost Kitchen. Big issue here, Benny, was Surf were flirting with that mudroom door for quite a while. They destroyed some utility, destroyed a shield, and then they said, all right, let's clear out the top floor. Let's enter through VIP. Let's enter through guitar. And AQUALIX were very much caught off guard, and once they got that vertical pressure, the bodies downstairs quickly fell, either from those vertical holes or just from angles held on Cool Vibe stairs. That roam needs to hold for a lot longer, as I can imagine Surf will likely make the same plays on that top floor. They can't fall as quickly as they did.
Very much true. They need to have some kind of, either A, waste time, get kills, or just at least waste time in some sense and don't allow them to get those kills, because otherwise it's going to be difficult for those anchors if you just lose all your members on the top floor. But we'll see so far as Surf's going for that VIP and guitar pressure for the moment. We see 2 members upstairs, though there could be maybe a C4 waiting for Swift as he jumps in, as there is a Valkyrie below him of Gasher, who's just checking through the cams. As CZ's waiting, expecting something. Oh, great shot. Just CZ with a DMR, just kind of flirting with Asian coming through Aqua. Slow shots back here and there.
You missed opportunity for CZ, but still plenty of opportunities to get a kill later on in the round. 16 and 8 so far for the current Aruni player in this round. Sure, he's eager to try and get a couple more if it means getting his team to overtime and keeping his grand finals chances alive. Utility expended. Gasher is sent up at C4. Exiles has been done away with as well. So no more of that secondary utility for the defense. They're still trying to hold, albeit inadvertently, on that top floor. But here we go. Ambi, he's entered in from VIP, moved into that 90 hallway. He knows that the Jaeger's around the corner, but there's 2 bodies, the Aruni and the Jaeger outside. But everyone from Surf, this is their top priority. Priority already #1, and it's working well so far. Hat rotated up to provide some support to the Aruni, but now he has to fall back.
With 1:18 left, there's so much time for Surf to just create and execute now. They push back the players. They've done some damage to Gasher and CZ. Afer's going to play Harry Potter, knowing for that transition later on. But at this point, now they have to evade that vertical pressure from Spiff, as Asian takes a bit more damage. But otherwise, Ambi's going to wait from Cool Vibes. Maybe one player, Gasher's actually in a position maybe to get more aggressive. But at this point, do you get aggressive at this point? Do you try and retake control of that vertical pressure? Maybe take some fights to gain back or at least even up that man count? CZ in an interesting spot playing Mudroom, maybe expecting someone to just run in not knowing he's there, because intel could be sparse. There's only 4 drones available to Surf.
There are only 4 drones, and you can see CZ desperately trying, but maybe even hoping that an opportunity presents itself. Asian is outside, maybe unaware of that position. So Spiff falls. Exile's able to even up the man count pretty late in the game, too. That could provide a big bump for Surf to try to come over. Ashen moving over through security. Ooh. It's a blue plant now for Surf, but CZ finally finds his opportunity. Afer falls on the bottom stairs. Ambi going huge. He's made his way down. Gasher in main lobby. He's the only one left. He's got to go back. He's got to catch Surf off guard if he wants a shot in the grand finals. But is it going to happen? Whoa. The bomb going on the floor. Can anybody cover in time? He doesn't know where it is. An opportunity lost. It was right there in front of him. But Gasher will lose 7-5, not even knowing where it was. 2-0 for Surf. They are your first team in SCS Season 6, Stage 1 Grand Finals.
Well, at least this Coastline game was close, though. It was AQUALIX map pick, and they at least made it close. 7-5, going the full 12 rounds in regulation. But again, it's just the issues you can see plainly on their defenses. Just some good starts here and there, but comes to gunfights, it just comes to some of that aggression that AQUALIX aren't quite able to adapt to.
Congratulations to Surf, of course, and yes, as you said, especially on Cafe, it seemed like it maybe not have been the aggression at times, and honestly, it might have just been the threat on map #1 that seemed to really slow down AQUALIX on those attacks. But on the defenses as well, Surf routinely would catch AQUALIX off guard with their positioning. Ashen working his way into certain positions on reading, for example. Asian on the entry at times always seemed to be in a spot that they didn't expect. And that same pattern for the second one can be said for Coastline too. Where Asian did very well for himself, but really everyone from Surf did an extremely good job in the series. I feel like Ambi was the most quiet one throughout these 2 maps, and he was the one that made the series-winning play on map #2 to send them to the grand final. So congratulations to all the boys on Surf. The job's not done yet. We still have 1 series after this to see who they will be facing. Will it be Aerial Arise Academy, defying our expectations, or One Shot, just providing them a good challenge?
That's gonna be interesting to see, but yeah, it's just, at least, hey, AQUALIX went with a bang, though. They tried their best. They still can go sign up for that tournament now. They can go play for stage 2.
That is true. If AQUALIX, now that they have lost, want to continue with SCS, they can go to the tournament sign-up. They can either do the mid-season tournament from January 3rd through the 5th, or do Stage 2 qualifiers, if they aren't invited, of course. Which they might be. I don't know. I'm not in charge of that, so I'm not going to announce it here. But theoretically, if you were a team like AQUALIX who wanted to play, Stage 2 qualifiers from the 7th to the 9th, 14th to the 16th. Yeah, you get what I'm saying? You'll hear it a lot more about it tonight.
Well, either way, that was a great match. I'm pretty sure we have an interview, I'm assuming, too, in a little bit after we go through the, all the stats and everything. But
yeah, we still got some stuff to work through.
Yeah, gotta go through stats, go through all that stuff. I'm not gonna hear up too much, but either way, a great showing from Surf, and they push themselves to fight against either One Shot or Aero Academy. And really, I'm interested to see who wins that game, because Aero Academy, I want to see them be the pugs that could, but it's just so crazy to beat One Shot of all teams, though.
Well, I'm in one of those situations where I'll be happy either way. Wait, if Aerial Rise Academy are in the grand finals, one, the match we're about to watch must have been a hell of a match. Kind of odd phrasing there, but you get what I mean. If Aerial Rise Academy get there, I'm amazed. Beautiful, great storyline. If One Shot get there, One Shot versus Surf is just a matchup I am very eager to see. Why I'm kind of rooting for One Shot next match, but we don't need to get into that. I still would very much find it cool if Aerial Rise Academy won, and as you can see, this is what we have so far. Surf started off with a 2-1 close victory, I will say, overachieved. Very narrowly lost that second map, and they ended up winning at the end. So they got to the semifinals where AQUALIX 2-0'd Carn & Co yesterday in a game that occurred on stream. And now Surf actually beat AQUALIX by much more dominant margins than they started their playoff journey at 2-0, 7-3, 7-5. They are in the grand finals where they will fight either Aerial Arise Academy in one shot, and that will be decided in, well, the next couple hours. You don't have to wait too long, thankfully.
Not too long, yeah. Just to see who that other team's gonna be. But that's gonna be a best of 5 tomorrow. Is that tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
It's tomorrow, a best of 5. That is gonna be a real test to both Surf. Well, I guess to one shot too as well, because it's interesting because one shot stuff to do close qualifiers as well for SI.
That is true. There is that looming on the horizon for that team. But here, nothing's looming on the horizon for AQUALIX, at least for the foreseeable future, because they are out of the playoffs. CZ, top on the leaderboard for that map, 1.57, 17-9. I mean, based on that performance, who else could have gotten the top spot? I mean, he was the defining factor, it felt like, for AQUALIX in that map. The rest, though, not so much. Aver definitely feel like is a very logical second pick. Always felt like, especially when Hookah was the site, he was the one that seemed to be the wall stopping a Surf army from flooding up Cool Vibe stairs and taking the site. So good to see Afer having a solid game, but really overall, it was just Surf putting in a fairly equal effort throughout the way. But we do have an interview lined up, because we always do. This will be with Ashen from Surf Esports to talk about the fact that they are the first team to enter the grand finals. So hello, Ashen. How are you doing?
Oh, pretty easy win. Gotta say that. Doing pretty good.
All right. Well, we're just opening with that now. We're just opening with the easy win. All right. Well, in that case, I want to ask you this question. So your first game, well, Surf's first game of SCS Season 6 group stage was against Wichita Wolves, and you played on these exact same maps, and no disrespect, you smoked the daylights off of Wichita Wolves. You now go into this series against AQUALIX, and it's the same maps. How did it feel to see that map ban phase play out the way it did?
Well, we've scrimmed them a lot, and first of all, on Cafe, like, we knew pretty much everything they did, because we've smoked them a lot in scrims and stuff like that, you know, throw that on there. But those were the exact maps that we literally wanted. Like, we couldn't want any other map. We were thinking about like picking Oregon and all that, but then like we had such confidence on Cafe, especially like back when we scrimmed them, and how, you know, they couldn't really like hold into our strats or anything. So literally perfect ban phase. So great.
Well, that's one thing I noticed was specifically, again, going back to that Wichita Wolves game, you guys were, and you specifically were very aggressive on Cafe, peeking pretty much everything, but it seemed like there was still that aggression, but it was a lot more reserved today. Was that just kind of how it happened to play out, or was that more of a dedicated shift in the team to try and not get as aggressive as you did all the way back in week 1?
I think it's more of a shift to more coordination with the team, because a lot of the time, you know, it was more like it was a lot top heavy on like one of our fraggers, you know, finding an opening like that, but now it's a lot more like we're together and our strats, you know, we're with each other. We're actually holding positions, so it's not like we have to, you know, run around just win every one that we do. But, you know, that still works for us, which, you know, on Cafe, you know, went our way, I think, what, 7-3? Like those defense, I think we had a 4-2 on attack, because, you know, everything we started doing, we were doing together, which was very good. That was something that, like, in the past 2 games, where, you know, we were losing to, like, T3 teams, like Aerial Rise Academy and Achieve. That's something we were lacking. Yesterday we had 6 maps of scrims. We figured everything out, and like that basically produced us to go to finals.
Well, you mentioned Aerial Rise Academy, and they're about to play against One Shot to decide who will be your opponents in the grand finals. One Shot is certainly a very dominant CL team. In fact, well, probably aside from Parabellum, the CL team right now. But Aerial Rise Academy, also the team that gave you seemingly, alongside Achieve, the best fight so far in SCS. Which one do you think, or would you prefer to play up against for whatever reason you want?
One Shot, because that's my boy Storms. He fears me in Asian, as you've seen in his interview, so definitely One Shot.
All right, well, I know personally I am rooting for the Surf one-shot matchup, because I think that will be one hell of a best of 5 once we get there. But congratulations, Ashen. You now have the rest of the night off to prepare for tomorrow for that best of 5. So anything you want to say to the people watching, as you are now, I don't know officially, but in my mind, you are the best T3 team right now, because you have made it to the grand finals, and you could play One Shot for that spot.
Stop banning Zoe. It's useless. I'll play any other up I want. I play Twitch, I still drop just as many kills. It doesn't help. Like, what do you think?
Well, we can always appreciate a player providing some words of wisdom in their interview going into the series tomorrow. So congratulations, Ashen. I'm excited to see you play tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, Benny, it's nice to see our talking point was also reiterated by Ashen.
Should they have banned Valkyrie?
That's another good point. No Valk ban, really?
Actually, you're still
Wanna
here.
go
Should
for
I
that?
ban Valkyrie?
We cannot hear him right now, unfortunately. But yeah, as you can see, whole series stats coming up. CZ and Afer once again reflected in map number 2. In the map 2 stats. Now in the series stats, their top 1 and 2 placement are reflected there as well. And really everyone from Surf, save for Ambi and Reed, who, oh no, they had a 0.8.
Well, you know.
It's terrible.
That's terrible.
Awful. Can't believe it. Your hard support and your flank watch being the 2 lowest rated.
Crazy. This is no way.
Acceptable.
There's no way.
Not a lot.
But you see from the stats though, yeah, it was quite a game from Surf. At least that coastline game was close though. There was a back and forth here from the side of AQUALIX. They made it close there, but yeah, that campfire game, it definitely seemed like Ashton was saying, they read their every move. They knew exactly how they were going to play that.
Yeah. And of course, that is the first series done and dusted. Before we go, thank you again to our other's favorite sponsor, because we have 2. They're both our favorites. Mavix Gaming Chairs. While the holiday sale has ended, you know what never ends? The ability to save $55 off of an order of a Mavix Gaming Chair by going to mavixgaming.com/nerdstreet and using the code NSG55 to get $55 off your order. Again, the holiday sale is gone, but it's still the same great product. Chairs that are specifically designed to make gaming as comfortable as it should be. Thank you to Mavix, as always, for being, again, our other favorite sponsor at SCS. But Benny, that's not the other thing. That they can look forward to. They can look forward to a chair. What else do they have in the next couple weeks?
A mid-season tournament. Oh my god, it's free. You can register free online. You can go, if you're in Twitch chat right now, !play. You can get that link to the NerdStreet website. Go register for that 64 teams, January 3rd to the 5th. It's gonna be a brawl, and you want to be there.
Yeah, and of course, there's the Stage 2 qualifiers as well pretty soon after January 7th and 9th, or 7th through the 9th, not the 7th and the 9th. The 8th is still involved. January 14th to the 16th. Registration is free for the mid-season tournament. Registration is not free for the Stage 2 qualifiers, but if you're just looking to relax, have fun, well, better than a free 64-team tournament from January 3rd to the 5th to break in 2022 as the new year. But Benny, that is all from you and I for series number 1, but we still have a second series tonight to see who will be our second participant in the grand finals. Will it be One Shot? Will it be Aerial Rise Academy? Connor and CJ, C-Daps and Cookies will take you through that right after the short break. We'll see you then.